Hey, my receipts printer doesn't work. Any idea why is that? Well, you see, your issue is Florida. If you ever want to see the heights of rust, put an old computer in a garage in Florida for like 10 years and then move and realize you forgot about it and open it to see if you can scavenge any parts out of it, and you will just see orange. Hey, how do I put this thing into another thing? Well, let's see here. What thing are you trying to, oh no. Oh, you don't. No, you don't. No. I think my PSU has some kind of error. Ah yes, the red square of doom. You have to be particularly careful with this one. Sometimes it can delete your house. If you ever encounter this kind of error, you can fix it by leaving very quickly. Does anyone know how to delete data after the hard drive starts to bloat? What do you mean bloat? Like bloatware with, oh. That was never a hard drive, that was a battery. And now I believe it identifies as a spicy, angry beanbag. Funnily enough, the solution for this problem is also leaving very quickly. There's a lot more running away in IT than you think there would be. A Cat5e cable I found under a rug where the user sat and wheeled over it all day, every day for years. The whole cable looked like that. Look, there's more spaghetti inside the spaghetti. If you're sitting there and thinking, how on earth could this still work after it looks like fruity dental floss? Cat5e cable, which is just category 5E, has 8 wires in it. Those 8 wires are divided into 4 twisted pairs of wires. And this is done for specific reasons I'll explain it in a different post. But these wires are fairly thin, solid core copper wires, and they're about the same as what was used for telephone for many years, for landlines. And in many buildings, it was never protected. Telephone's lines were just stranded through the walls. Sometimes you would get lucky, yes, and somebody would have done it properly. But I've seen the inside of many walls where it's just the strands. Cat5e cable has 4 pairs of these inside another insulated jacket, and on top of that, you only need 4 of the wires and you can get away with 2. So because there's so much durability baked into this cable, it can put up with a surprising amount of abuse, or end users, and still be fairly functional, at least for business applications. Anyways, thank you for sitting through my love letter to Ethernet cable. Coworker decided to wipe the monitor with Clorox bleach wipes. Yeah, this happened a lot during the pandemic. A lot of people found out that you couldn't wipe MacBook screens with them either. I saw a few screens survive it. I think it depends on the concentration of the bleach in the Clorox wipes. But yeah, rough time for all hardware. Mullet PC. Business in front and party in the back. That is absolutely fantastic. There's been a trend of buying Optiplex towers, which are small machines designed for business use, but a lot of them have really good CPUs. However, they don't have the room for a big giant graphics card, which would make them good for gaming. So people have just been cutting the side of them out and shoving in a GPU or using extender cables to rest the GPU on top or something. I'm calling them mullet PCs from now on because that's just a perfect description. Guess who lost the internet? Your dog ate the entire internet? Careful, don't let the packets spill everywhere. But hey, now is a great time to learn how to terminate your own Ethernet cable. Lots of nice comfy pillows for the best nap you'll ever have. Also the last nap you'll ever have. I have no words. Okay, this is not Techsupportgore. I'm putting a big doubt in this. That is a custom 3D printed fan grill. Somebody saw Linus Tech Tips modded to hell Steam Deck and added their own cooler to it and did the same exact thing. And the fact that they have a 3D printer, like they knew what they were doing. This was not brought into tech support like, oh, my Steam Deck doesn't work. This was you walked past it and were like, holy hell, what happened? And the guy immediately just started spouting benchmarks. I installed the GPU and it's not working. I know this is an IT technician taking the piss, but it still makes me a little bit mad. For reference, many servers have modular inner cages so that you can pull them out and put different types of drive bays in them. It's usually for storage. Very rarely it will be for power, for switches. At no point will you be sliding a GPU into the front of a server, or if you do, you will be very disappointed. Decisions were made, and I apologize for nothing. Did you buy the wrong size hard drive? Don't lie to us, it's okay. You bought the, it's okay. Honestly, this one isn't that bad. Like, in all seriousness, the plate carrier for something like this, there's probably an adapter out there for this. It probably costs like $7 or $8. This works just fine. You're not pinching it, it's fine. For home use, this is fine. Have you tried turning it on and off? Oh. It was on at one point. I hope it's never on again. From a WikiHow page on replacing a Cat 5e cable. Okay, this kind of repair is called a splice, where you strip enough wire on both sides to make, I believe it's called a lineman's knot. I just do it by memory at this point. It's decent enough for things like power, but it can be very inconsistent for things like data. For home use, if this is a cable that you ran inside your wall and you don't want to rerun it, or it's just going to your TV so that it, feeds your smart apps or something, it's not mission critical. This is genuinely fine. Like, it's not that bad. As long as the cable is solid core and not braided core, you can do this and get away with it. And genuinely, like, you shouldn't be rerunning an entire cable if this will fix your problem. In an enterprise setting, you rerun the entire cable. If it's a patch in the wall and this happens, you rerun the cable. That's how you fix it. You do not pull BS like this, because it will fail. It'll be unreliable. You'll be chasing gremlins all day long, and then you realize that one of the twists inside one of those heat shrinks is just slightly loose and it's dropping its signal, and you will never find it. You will never find it again. I was called into work because our VoIP phones were down, and I passed by this. Yeah, if you pull up to your job because things are broken and the first thing you see is a blue screen on the sign, just pull over and sign back into LinkedIn for the first time in 2 years and start looking for a new job, because it's not worth solving that. Customer, my laptop turns off after 1 or 2 minutes after I press turn on button. Turn on button. Okay. We diagnosed laptop and found that after a few seconds, vent of the laptop gets to 75 Celsius. Ow. So, opened the laptop, okay, and found piece of carpet, brand cat and human carpets, locking the cooler. Yup, that'll do it. And here's a problem. I have always said that, like, the back of laptops should just drop right off. I have a Razer Blade 14, and it's just a few screws and the entire back pops off, and you can clean everything very easily. I don't, and nobody else should ever expect an end user to disassemble their laptop down to that level to be able to get to there to clean out a fan. And a home laptop is going to be an environment with pets. Like, you can't be like, oh, you shouldn't have a cat, or like, you shouldn't have cat hair in your home. This is a problem that laptop manufacturers need to have easily serviceable areas. Now, I'm not sure if they had to tear down the laptop all the way to there to get to that ball of fluff. Like, maybe it's slightly more, but still, it's on the inside. Like this, if it's not just removing one panel and cleaning out, it's too far away. Ooh, fluffy pillow. Aw, it's like a sauce packet of sin and punishment. Costco playing fast and loose with cable management. Oh, that's my, oh, what? What is that? That door is locked, not for security, but for your safety, because I'm pretty sure if we opened that homunculus glob of copper would come to life and start puppeting all the customers in the store before stealing all the rotisserie chickens and running off into the wilderness. CCTV is not working properly, please fix. Well, they tried. On the left is an outdoor Ethernet cable that has a screw-on shielded cover so that you can have the cable coupled and it'll still be weatherproofed. On the right is just a regular cable without the other half of the connector. There's two parts to this. You need to make a little capsule to keep the connector dry and protected. That's just half of it. How hard do you have to shove an Ethernet cable to get the port to break? My guess is that it wasn't so much that it was shoved, is it either was pushed up against a wall, like it was under a desk and somebody kicked it, or it fell off a desk with the ports down and the Ethernet cable shoved the port back into the machine. That's my guess. This is what the underneath of the front desk looks like at the restaurant I work at. Oh, restaurants are notorious. We don't use that printer, but it has to be plugged in and have paper or the entire point of sale system won't work. Yeah, point of sale systems are awful, just in general. Hey, I fixed one of those. This is not the worst cable nest I've ever seen, but I am sorry that it's your problem. Someone on Facebook posted this after saying his charger kept getting taken at work. I mean, it's better than running 2 thin strips of foil down each side, but now you've just donated your charger to work. Why don't you just replace the outlet with one of those ones with the USB ports in it at this point? If maintenance hasn't smacked you for super gluing that into that, I don't think they would have cared or noticed if you replaced the entire outlet with one that had 2 USB ports. Family wanted a 24/7 Minecraft server, more powerful than a Pi, and more efficient than a desktop. What is... Is this a headless ThinkPad? Oh my God, I think it is. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, that charger terrifies me. Yeah, that's the old ThinkPad charger. This is like the T4, T40, T41. Yeah, it has the beautiful keyboard. Okay, sorry, I'm geeking out over the laptop. I love ThinkPads, but you all knew that. You can rip off most of the stuff of a laptop and use it as a server. I have seen it done. I have done it before in a pinch for like 3 days, and it is way more efficient. Like a lot of these consume 65 watts or less. I proudly present the RS-232 Unfunker 3000. Oh my sweet Lord. Holy hell. All right, this is getting into explanations. RS-232 is a serial protocol, which basically means you can send data between two computers on a wire, but only one thing at a time, and at an agreed upon speed. So you set the speed up on both sides and they send ones and zeros, and that's it. It's a very bare metal. It's still used a lot in building management, industrial, stuff like that, because it's very reliable and basically bulletproof. It's not very fast, but sometimes you don't need to transmit a lot of data. Getting a reliable serial connection through USB, especially with some older devices, can be a challenge. Because half the serial readers don't work right. It's just always a nightmare. And sometimes the thing you're connecting to can't have its settings changed, and it doesn't have its settings in a way that your thing supports. So you just get garbled mess because you're reading either at the wrong speed or the wrong pinout or the wrong whatever. So this monstrosity, it appears, it's a little blurry, but by breaking out all of the wires, you can rewire the serial connection to be the correct way around, because it's still just 1 0 1 0 1. It doesn't matter where you put it. So that's that breakout board in the middle with the tiny white wires in it. Then it's going through this thing. I'm not even sure what that is. I think it might be a tester or something. Comes back down to 9-pin serial and then goes into their USB adapter. You see that in the bottom right, and then they can actually read the serial. And just one of the joys of Ethernet instead of serial is there's something called automatics, or auto negotiation, where the switch and the port will figure out what wire they've all agreed on and what speed they're going to agree on all automatically, so that when you plug in a cable, it just starts talking. And that tiny bit of additional tech is just such a lifesaver because serial doesn't have it. And you end up doing this. By the way, if you like these kind of long-form Lexplanations posts, I'm actually starting a series called Lexplanations on my own channel, The Lexikitty. If you want to learn some of the ins and outs of IT and maybe have a laugh, or if you've got scars from years of tech experience and want to cry a lot, we'll be digging into hardware gore, software gore, tech support gore, all that good stuff in a very friendly, let's learn something together kind of way. So yeah, that'll be on my channel, The Lexikitty. It's said that the printer broke, so they had to drill maintenance hole. What? Yes, it's a piece of cardboard, supposedly to prevent dust from getting in. What? If the environment is that dusty, you shouldn't have a printer in it, either an inkjet or a laser. Neither of them are going to like it. It protects the drive from dust. For those that are unaware, SSDs get hot and need to ventilate. This would be like putting a person inside of plastic packaging, being like, they are protected from dust. They do look a little warm though. Well, there's the problem. Oh my God. What did you... What the hell? What did you do? No, this is not normal. What? This much power traveling through this board should not... No. I can do words. I promise. I swear I can do the best words. Better than any other... yes. Rule 0. Do not be on fire. Airflow improved. This is harmless. You know what? After what I've seen today, this is great. This is fine. I love it. Beautiful. Thank you for doing something that isn't trying to kill someone. My computer shuts down when I play PUBG. Probably a good sign to stop playing PUBG. I'm sorry, I'm just hating on what... Oh, God. What is that? That's not just melted... Something is alive in there. No, that has sentience. Kill it. User didn't know it was a locking connector and just pulled at the cable as hard as they could. I hate to be like, my dad told me a thing. But my dad did tell me, don't force anything with technology. Like, if you're forcing it, you're doing something wrong. There are exceptions, of course, when you're disassembling stuff, you have to like really pry stuff off. But like in normal end user facing operation, if you are pulling with more than 5 pounds of force on anything, something's wrong. Stop, get some help, preferably experienced help. The ceiling leaked all over the computers at work. Oh no. My desk at my old job used to be directly under our cooling unit for the server room because we worked in the server room. Yay. And during the summers, sometimes it would freeze up and it would back up and it would rain on my desk. That was fun. Funnily enough, because of the way these things usually like rain down, the computers actually usually turn out okay. Just like turn all of them off immediately, but they're usually fine. That remote is the best thing I've ever seen. You know, I'm not actually gonna hate on this because I've been trying to figure out a way to collect all those tiny little LED remotes, like the tiny little credit card sized ones. They're too dang small, and I just want to like assemble them all. So I got a bunch of magnets. I'm gonna put them on like a piece of metal. More aesthetically pleasing than that, but just make it bigger, like assemble them all in one place. Cause I'd lose that tiny thing like 2 days in. Riddle me this. What happens if you touch ground connector on both sockets simultaneously? All right, I don't do electrical, like I don't wire up electrical, but the first problem I'm seeing is that the ground is not in the same place. Assuming your ground is green, you've got it wired to center on the left and you got it wired to right on the right. You should probably pick one. It should always be the same. When I play games, my computer crashes. I built it myself. I've done it several times, so I know I did it right. My friend that builds computers helped. So when you turn on a computer, sometimes it makes heat. I'm sorry, I'm being mean. I will not do that. There's a compound called thermal paste, or thermal compound, that sucks heat, I'm being loose with the definitions here, from the CPU into a cooler or a liquid cooler or a big fan. It's like a giant silly hat for a CPU that makes it cool. But in the temperature sense, there's a whole big debate over thermal paste, and honestly, as long as you have an evenly applied layer, it's fine. But if you don't have enough, not enough of the heat will come out of the CPU, especially when it's under load. When it gets under load, it'll get very hot, and you won't be able to get all that heat out of the CPU fast enough, and you'll experience a thermal failure or a thermal shutdown, where the thing powers down to save itself. A lot of modern CPUs, you can't melt them. Well, you can if you try, but like the most cases, they'll shut down before they melt themselves. The old ones, you can melt them. You just keep going right on. Oh, it's not cooling. Oh boy, it's getting hot. Oh, that's a puddle of metal. Whoops. So my cooler's fan broke and I had an idea. Plus cat. No, do not involve the cat. Oh, there's the cat. Okay, the cat's safe. All right, good. Do not involve the cat in any CPU cooling, please. Okay, I'm trying to figure out what you did. You said the cooler fan broke and you had an idea. Sometimes I feel more blind than others. Did you just replace the fan? I'm terribly sorry. I'm missing what's going on here. If your CPU cooler's fan broke, I would assume you would just replace the fan on it. But I'm guessing there's more to this post than I know about, so I am sorry. What horrors were on this drive? Oh, there was nothing bad on it. It was just in the south. It was easier to get a gun than a drill press. Well, that explains why my hotel room remote only works when it wants to. Now, I'm really curious about two things. One, did the hotel put the foil in because they bought the wrong size batteries? Because that looks like they're, cramming AAAs into AA slots. And two, was it necessary for you to put your entire iFixit bit set in the background? I'm not going after you too hard on this. It makes something be like, oh yes, I bring my tool set everywhere. It's like, yeah, I bring a Leatherman and a bit kit everywhere too, but I don't like frame them in my photos. I'm sorry, it's just really weird. Came across this atrocity. Okay, I came into this, I recorded a whole segment until I realized just how bad this was. So when you turn off num-lock, you get what the original number pad orientation was, which is home and page up, page down, and arrow keys. So I can understand somebody that actually uses that a lot, wanting those to be the prominent things. And a lot of keyboards don't print all that stuff on there. I don't know why. So I kind of understood putting the arrow keys there, yes, but then you put them over here. And then I looked at the num keys that you put on your normal arrow keys, and they have it printed on there. It's printed on. There are arrow keys printed on. You're not gaining anything. And they swapped the home end page up, page down with the small 6 cluster up there. They didn't gain anything. You've added more inaccuracy to the keyboard. This would bother me more. Side note, this keyboard feels like typing on garbage bags, and I can feel it from here, and I know I'm a keyboard snob, but this one is just especially egregious. There are cheap keyboards that feel good, but this one just, it's like typing on tuna fish. Someone stole my home run. Oh my God. Oh dear God. Okay, so you're gonna need a pair of garden shears. I love the stance on the guy on the left is just like, well, And a home run is just a direct run from one place to another. And if one of those goes out, you usually go back to your IDF, intermediate distribution frame, or IT closet, basically, and you've tried to figure out where it came from and what the problem with the cable is, if you need to repair or replace it. But sometimes you get to the closet and it looks like this. And what you do in that case is leave, and then come back with 5 gallons of gasoline. For legal reasons, that was a joke. For moral reasons, it was not. I bought a saber-toothed Twozzies 97 Mark S. Why are we screaming this? As not working. I thought simply enough, maybe a blown component. I was wrong. Those motherfrackers took the fracking chipset. Needless to say, I want my money back. Yes. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about the situation. I can't say I know of anybody who's ever bought a non-working motherboard on purpose. If I ever did that, I would want photos of the board to make sure everything was on there, and also to know kind of what repairs I was, because some of these are dual layer, meaning there's stuff you can't repair. But yeah, you bought it as not working. They didn't specify the reason why it wasn't working. I hope whoever you bought this from backs you up on it. Good luck. A user said, my VGA can't plug on the VGA port. Can you help me? I like to imagine sentences like that as if they were actually spoken by somebody who walked into the IT office and said them exactly like that. And then when I looked at the VGA cable, he did this. Oh my God. For those of you in the audience that weren't born in the 90s, this is a VGA cable. This is old-timey HDMI. It's supposed to have 2 ears on either side with screws, which were actually fairly useful in making sure that it didn't fall out while you were using it. Those are gone. I guess they were just hacksawed off. Also, there's 15 pins and all of them should be straight. And instead, what we have here is the New York City Pride Parade. Saw this while following some cabling to a client's warehouse area. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. No, you just keep walking, because if you look at it too long, your IT instincts will begin to kick in and you'll want to fix it. And the client won't care because it works. And you will care because you don't want somebody to die. Good God, I don't even want to think about that. A friend went to a repair shop since their laptop was overheating. The guy told her her brand new Samsung SSD was bad. And because the laptop's plastics were crap, he decided to drill screws through the speakers in order to hold the chassis together. No, I know what he did. I'm guessing he mixed up the screws. This looks like an HP. I'm not sure though. I'm just biased. He mixed up, the HP uses different lengths of screws for every single port on the back when you take it apart. So if you get them mixed up, you'll have screws that aren't long enough towards the back and like screws that are way too long in the front, and the whole thing won't feel like it's gone back together correctly. And then you fixed it in the worst way possible. I'm using the word fixed very loosely there. Did you pay money for this repair? My SD card reader doesn't work. Really? How do you know? Cause right now you're making a USB connector mate with a micro SD card, and nobody wants to see that. Well, it's the internet. I'm sure somebody wants to see that, but that's not what we serve here. I don't see anything wrong. Why would this not work? Oh no. Okay, all right, I'm gonna be very gentle with this because this is clearly a new soldering. Soldering is hard. This is a Raspberry Pi. It's one of the smaller ones. I'm not gonna descend into the whole discussion of that. The silver blobs are solder, so you solder header pins so that you can stick it into like breadboards and stuff. And this lets you connect it to other things. A lot of kits will just ship you the PCB, and it's much cheaper and faster for them to do that instead of soldering it for you. And once you're experienced with it, it's pretty easy to attach these. However, soldering is a skill that you need to develop. And when you first start out soldering, your solder joints will look like this, and it's fine. You shouldn't expect them to work, but it's fine. They will look like this. When you solder something, it should look like a Hershey's Kiss. It will be very smooth and concave almost. There's a pad on the board, which is this coppery circle, and the post pokes through that, and you apply solder to the post, and it flows down the post and into the pad, and it creates this nice little almost circular pyramid of sorts. It's really nice once you get it down, and it should be very shiny. When you're new, you'll probably be scared and you don't want to heat up the board too much. So you go in and the soldering iron won't be hot enough. And what that means is the solder won't flow into the pad and instead will sit on top of it and form a ball. Because of that, it also doesn't heat up the solder enough So you get this kind of matte, cracked coating on it that doesn't look mirrory. It looks sort of almost frosted. When solder forms a ball like that, it doesn't actually connect to the pad. It just kind of sits on top of it. So you won't get a really consistent connection. When it flows down, you have a very solid connection because you're touching the entire pad and the post at the same time. So that explains the top row, aside from a few overzealous stuff. The bottom row, I'm not sure what happened. It looks like you burned some down at the bottom left, and that looks scorched on the bottom right. I'm not sure what happened. They look shinier, so you're getting towards the right temperature, but there's not enough solder on some of these header pins on the left. It's good to practice on a breadboard. Grab a breadboard, 5 packs of header pins, a proto board, which is just a blank board with a bunch of pads on it that you can make your own circuit boards with. But just grab one of those, grab a bunch of header pins, line them all up, get some snacks, a drink, and some good music, and do an hour or two of practice soldering. Just try to get that shiny little pyramid. Buy a whole roll of solder just for it. You're gonna waste it. It won't be a waste in the long run because you'll have good experience. And then when you buy a component like this, you won't end up burning the traces and lumping the solder on, and you'll be off and running and programming the Raspberry Pi, which is the fun part. Self-melting LCD. I don't remember that being one of the selling points of LCDs, funnily enough. Why is it melting? I don't know this for certain because it's hard to tell what this is. There's not enough information in the picture. Some LCDs have an inverter board on the bottom, which turns your normal wall power into very high voltage power to light up some tubes in the back, called CFLs, compact fluorescent lights. And those inverters can get very hot, especially right before they fail. Usually they're in the center on laptops. I don't know where they are on bigger screens. I'm guessing that's what's going on here, or there was liquid or something. I don't know. That's my best guess. I like to try to guess to see how did we get here? This isn't the first time we've had this particular email get sent out. This is an electrical transformer and not a shredder. Do not put paper in this. Doing so is dangerous and can cause a fire. On one side, yes, users shouldn't be doing that. On the other side, this shouldn't be in an area where users can just toss stuff into it. Like, this shouldn't be anywhere in a public area. And number 2, you need signage on this. If you have a transformer this big just hanging out and you do not have a high voltage sign, some warning around the opening, I don't care whether or not it's required. It's just, this has been a problem before, and a couple of stickers and a sign would save you maybe some of the fires. Like, some people aren't gonna read it anyway, but if this is not the first time, there's a little bit of proactive thing you should be doing here. End user said this camera hasn't worked in years. Oh. Yeah, remember the WikiHow solution? This is several steps below that, and clearly we've entered the not good enough realm. Actually, this looks like what happens when you get an electrician to repair data lines. A lot of people think, oh, it's all wires, it's all good. No, some electricians do excellent network cabling. Some do not. And typically, they won't touch, they'll know, I don't do data cabling because I don't know enough about what I'm doing. I do power, that's it. And for those people, I respect them, great job. Keep doing the good work that you do. My gaming setup. I did not know there were this many headless laptops starting to pop up. I approve. Maybe a little bit of cover or something, I don't know, cut up a monitor stand or something. But yeah, I've always thought of older laptops as basically being blade servers. You can just kind of stack a bunch of them together and get yourself a little rack. I used to have 3 of them in a file organizer in my dorm room. The new shielded Twisted Pair Cat 7. That is not what Twisted Pair means. Why is it braided? Okay, when I say braided cable, I mean the copper itself is braided inside of insulation, inside of the jacket, inside of the cable. Not that it should be actually braided. When you have to test a line, oh my God, this is giving me anxiety. When you have to tone out a line, which is when you put a little device on one end and you rub a little magic wand along the side, it makes a beepy noise. How do you tell which wire is making the beepy noise when they are all together? Because somebody out there figured that their network closet structure was going to be inspired by Rapunzel. Friend of mine wanted to clean his PC and dropped the side plate. Oh no, did it? Oh, it shattered. Oh no. Oh no. I've always wondered about those massive glass, mine has a glass side, but it's like 2/3 of it. And the bottom third is just a metal panel. Like the full glass ones, they just make me nervous. Like they could be plexiglass, it would be just fine. It doesn't need to be actual glass. At least it's tempered and it's not gonna cut your feet up. Case got slammed so hard in shipping, the CPU dented the heatsink. Oh my God. Yeah, you can see the impression of the CPU socket just punched into the heat pipes. Oh my God. 2 sockets are connected to electric heaters. Oh, God. I thought we were talking about CPU sockets for a second. Oh, well, that's only slightly less dangerous. That's still gonna burn down your house. Oh my God, why at this point, you need to call an electrician and get another circuit put in, okay? Okay, it's not that hard, not that hard. And if that's too difficult, then don't plug as many things in. Just a standard DIY project at work. No US plug adapter, then just creating one. Okay, all right, this one isn't terrible. These adapters are usually fairly low draw, and these plates usually pop out anyway. Like this is not that bad. This is honestly solving a problem that you need to solve right then and there. My somehow still functioning Bluetooth adapter. Yeah, I have a 2.4 gigahertz like RF wireless numpad that ended up feeling like typing on Jello is awful. But I accidentally broke the top of the adapter and it looks exactly like that and it still works somehow. I mean, as long as the antenna is intact, most of the circuitry is actually inside the USB port, so it's fine. My laptop just stopped working. No clue what's wrong with it. Yeah, I've heard that before. Oh no, you've broken its spine. Hot take, computers should have the right to self-defense. My dad really just superglued his keyboard piece. His job is a CEO of fracking software company. Hey, software people and hardware people, miles apart. I've met some brilliant software engineers that struggled with getting RAM out of their computer. It's 2 different camps. I'm more curious, did he repair it? Did like this work? I don't know what part's super glue because I don't know what it looked like before. Tried a battery replacement on a Surface Pro 4. Oh no, didn't go so well. Yeah, those are notoriously hard to repair. I don't understand why either, because they got so many education and government contracts. You'd think they'd want them to be the most repairable things on the earth. Decent computers, but yeah, no, just pain to repair. And the first models had batteries that just got all pufferfish. Who mounts a switch like this? Okay, all right, to be fair, that looks like a test switch. Like, unless this is actually in production. Like, I had one of these under my desk, probably almost exactly like this at one of the places I worked. But that's because, like, I had every single port on it on a different network, and I could just, like, reach down and plug a laptop into each one, depending on what network I needed to test from a layer 2 perspective. So, like, I won't judge if this is under an IT employee's desk, because you just, sometimes, like, I'm not gonna mount it to the side of the desk. Facilities will get mad. Teacher gave me this with a classic, I don't know what happened. Yeah, you do. Yeah, oh my God, Jesus Christ, just keeps getting worse. How did you smash it so hard that the lid is taking the front bezel off? What did you do? Oh my God. Look, there's a lot of things that can go wrong with the computer that aren't your fault, but Windows updates did not cause this. Wiped the drive. That'll do it. Honestly, like, destroying hard drives is the only catharsis that IT people get. So we take a lot of pent-up rage from specific end users and we put it all into those hard drives. I asked my sister if I could have her 2015 MacBook. Uh-oh. This thing was outright absurd. Yup. If you have an old MacBook sitting around in your house, please open the back and make sure there aren't pillows in it. It will start a fire and burn your house down. I'm also just looking at this closer now and good Lord, that's just disgustingly dirty. I'm not gonna, oh, wow, the fans. Oh my God, look at the fans. What is is that like cereal? Did this come out of the Quaker Oats factory? M.2Gore. Almost forgot this gem in my collection. Oh, is it the Benny one? It's the Benny one. I like how many times we see that. Some variant of, I forgot where I put the spacer. The spacer is the thing that sits on the end of the screw on the back so that the M.2 doesn't, that's a type of hard drive. It doesn't bend. However, it's usually in the bag with the motherboard screws and it doesn't usually come with a hard drive. So by the time you're installing that, you have no idea where the screw went or the standoff, which would make it level. And then you're tired and you just want to get the hard drive in and get Windows installed and you just screw it in and then you realize that don't look right. Looks mint to me. In that case, you have worse eyesight than I do, and you should not be working with power. Oh, actually, I think that's fiber? That might be fiber. Or fire. I don't know what this is. The red one might be orange fiber, orange jacketed armored fiber. Yellow, I have not seen armored fiber in that color. I don't know what that is. Fix it. I'm used to broom closets, but this? Yeah, we saw this a few episodes ago, and I still think about it occasionally. Just, you know, one really bad day at Chipotle that backs up the toilet and goes straight into the UPS. Although I guess it's a little raised, but still, like, just from a security standpoint, this is not a thing that should exist. Another one of these. Bob the computer guy fixed my grandma's laptop hinge. Oh my god, it's a similar laptop. It's not the same, but has the same power button and the same font for the escape key. Is the hinge on these line particularly terrible? Is this an HP? It's an HP, I swear to god. This is the frustrating dichotomy of like wanting to fix your family stuff, because like you'll get asked by everybody and you will be working till the end of time. And I don't mind fixing my in-laws stuff. Like they get free support, but beyond that, you know, I try to limit it. But then like you don't want them to take it to somebody else and have them charge your relatives actual money to destroy their hardware. It's just a lose-lose situation all around. I could be totally off base, but I don't think this is the best use for leftover PCI covers. I wouldn't put the screws that close together. Wait, what is it screwed into? Assuming that's a surface that it's okay for stuff to be screwed into. I wouldn't put the screws that close to the cables, but I mean, that's not a bad use if it's just lying around. As a cable stay, I approve of cable management in all forms. The fact that it's metal is not necessarily a bad thing. There are metal zip ties. There are ties with metal cores. As long as the insulation is good and the cable's not being like pulled back and forth, well, that's fine. Breaker keeps tripping. Why is it wet? At first I looked at this and was like, oh, that's not that bad. I have worse like 5 feet from me. And then I looked at it and realized it was wet. Why is the surge protector wet? I have link lights. Why isn't the network working? What in the, what? What the? Okay, all right, sorry. It took me a good 2 minutes to figure out what the hell I was looking at. All right, so this is a USB to Ethernet adapter for plugging into your computer so that your computer can talk to it and turn a USB port into a network port. They've plugged it into a phone charger, and then they've plugged an Ethernet cable into that. Where do you think the internet is coming from? The internet does not come out of your power outlet. Do you pay the power company for your internet bill? Where do you think the internet comes from? You mayonnaise sandwich? That would explain drive not found. Don't take that through an airport. I'm just gonna put that out there. Just don't. Water pump. Exposed live wires, 3-socket power bar with 9 devices plugged in. Just another day in VN. I don't know what VN is. Oh wait, I think we saw this one before, or maybe I saw it somewhere else. I think it was Vietnam. I don't remember. Terrifying. Better than coffee. We're comparing bad Wi-Fi? This AP drowned. Oh. Yeah, so technically speaking, and this is coming from an expert opinion, if I may say so myself, water and electronics is bad. Just in case you didn't know. The internet is quite slow. Have you tried plugging the fracking cable in? Actually, it is. It looks like it's not plugged in, but there's a jack just behind that plate that's probably been smashed to all high hell. On the other side of those, some of these jacks, there's a bunch of pins and gates that keep the wire in place, and if you smash it, the wires fall out of the gates, and it makes the internet slow. It happens all the time though, especially in dorms where the furniture that they get just mashes straight up against the wall. Colleague came down to IT, complaining their company phone wasn't charging fast enough. Okay, I see, I understand your solution to the phone charging faster is a Jesus cable, but remember, we do not give end users Jesus cables. They are for internet points only. We do not actually send the end users to meet Jesus. Do you understand? The 3rd time this week, Todd. Blazing fast Wi-Fi. This is just some other, technical advice. Really high level, stuff that you would really need to know in like a tier 3 scenario. Fire is also bad for electronics. My dog likes to go under my house. I was wondering why my internet suddenly went out. Yeah, that'll happen. I'm surprised your dog made it through that, but actually, I guess you can get through a coax cable. These are coax cables. They're thick like cable TV cables, and they take some effort to get through, but yeah, I guess a dog will get through that. Why won't my Wi-Fi work? Third piece of technical advice. I know there's a lot of technical advice coming at you today. If your router is liquid, not filled with liquid, actually made of liquid, that is bad, and you will not be doing a Wi-Fi today. Cable management? Okay, this is not technically IT. This is like a video rack. That up top is a Blackmagic video switcher. It looks surprisingly okay from the front, at least. Yeah, the cables down at the bottom look a little strained. Let's take a look at the back. Oh my God. Oh my. I will find you. You will turn off the lights in your server room, and you will hear Doom Guy music, and the lights will turn pink, and you will know who has come for you. It's me, Lexi. Here to fix you and your mess. Wire monsters. Aw, this needs a googly eyes. This needs big old googly eyes. If my mental health was an Ethernet cable. Oh God, if IT people's patience with some end users was an Ethernet cable. Oh, that was such a good post. No better way to do this. There are many better ways to do this. I've complained about I think I did this exact post on my own channel. The part to replace this correctly is $2. In fact, it's just like $1.60 something. I looked it up. But they decided that the only acceptable explanation for this is if the end user didn't have internet and was waiting on a contract or something and had to do it themselves. And they just needed to get stuff done. And they looked up a wiring diagram on Google and got this far, and it works. Good for them, like genuinely good for them. But if a professional you paid actual money to did this, I'd like their resignation to be used as gift wrap for their head. Customer, the phone fell out of handbag. Was your handbag on the Empire State Building? It does look like a side corner impact top left, but that was a very tall handbag. Lying in bed, and I heard the one noise I never wanted to hear. What in the hell? Oh, is this a glass top desk? Okay, I think that's what, I think it's a glass top desk. I'm not sure what shattered it. It's just kind of a mess. I'm so sorry. This is why I have a wood top desk. I've never understood glass top desks, but I'm sure, people like them. Don't. Wi-Fi is kind of slow on the third floor. Can you check it out? Yeah, sure, we can see what we can do. Why is the router filled with cheese? Fourth technical. I'm sorry. I'm done. I think my computer overheated. What were you using for coolant? Uranium? Our printer is printing dark pages. 7 days. No, this happens due to something inside the printer called the transfer roller. Basically, it picks up the black powdery stuff called toner to go to the fuser to be basically melted onto the page. I'm skipping over a lot here, but I know Xerox printers had a big problem with they would shred their entire transfer and fuser assembly, and they just dump toner directly onto the page. And if you dump enough toner on the page directly before the fuser, it'll just get fused directly onto the page, and you'll just get an entirely black page. It smells really nice, though. I can't describe, just warm toner smells nice. Being an alarm engineer, this just brings pain. You're an alarm, fire alarm engineer. I'm genuinely impressed this was even allowed. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. You mean alarm like access control? Oh, yes, okay. So for those not familiar, in the US, fire alarms are very strictly regulated and require special installation certification and inspections and all sorts of stuff by the fire marshal. Security systems, just, you open the door and it goes beep, beep. Usually no inspections or just an inspection to make sure that you haven't done any low voltage stuff that could catch on fire. So yeah, unfortunately you can get away with some garbage stuff like this. And alarm systems are typically much more custom than networking. So it is very important for the people 10 years down the road to understand why this wire is where it is and what it does. And a rat's nest like this is unintentional job security for the initial install company, but it makes sure that they'll never be hired back for another job. You'll just be hired back long enough to explain yourself, and then we'll hire another company to come in, rip out all your stuff, and install something that, is actually readable. Parents had flaky internet and had to keep restarting equipment in order. So my dad built this contraption to start them up with timers in order. Funnily enough, why aren't the antennas up on the router? These panels need to come up for reception. Anyways, in server rooms, there are big boxes called UPS units, or uninterrupted power supplies. And they actually have a bunch of outlets on them that you can set up, the bigger ones, to turn back on in sequence if there's an AC outage that's too long for the batteries to maintain. So if the power goes out, the batteries kick in, and then they send the signal to the computer saying shut down because we only have like 30 minutes left of battery or whatever. All the computers shut down, and then the power keeps going out. Then you're out. But when you start back up, you need specific devices to be started up in a specific order. So you can say outlet 1 starts up. You wait 5 minutes. So outlet 2 starts up. So this right here is exactly how large-scale infrastructure IT starts back up. So good on him. I'm not sure why you need to keep restarting all this stuff. Especially that router is really nice. Like, that should be smart enough to figure all this out. And why do you have... Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to try to fix this. I'm going to walk away. Arrived at a client's site in the city and parked beside this. Oh, you sweet summer child. That is not the worst you're going to see in whatever city you're in. If the city is New York City, this should not have been the worst you've seen. Don't worry, we will patch it for you. I think you mixed up patching and sneezing out patch cables. A patch is just connecting a jack that goes to a room with the switch that gives it internet. Also, who the hell mounted those switches at the top? They're like misaligned as hell. Anyways, the patch bay is that thing in the middle. Those are all the jacks that go to all the rooms, and then up at top you see the 2 boxes with lots of ports. That's the actual internet. And when you patch something, you're supposed to be able to tell what room goes to what jack in case you need to shut it down or change its network so it can connect different things, etc. This is just a war crime, and will also result in you hearing Doomguy music and the lights going pink, and you know exactly who's coming. Oh, I'm sorry, there's a second image. And that's how it should be done. Yes, good, excellent, beautiful. All right, we'll cancel the Doomguy raid. Why does my PC crash? I need help. Yeah, you need help. All right. I do appreciate the large print keyboard. I don't appreciate anything else. I know this is a joke. I know it's a joke, but it still makes me angry. Spicy pillow becomes a hot pocket. Spicy pillows causes evacuation. Oh yeah, it should. Yeah, you can see the burn going straight to Saturn, or at least 2 millimeters forward. I like to imagine it started out on the sidewalk and propelled itself about 8 inches. Be careful of swollen batteries. Y'all know my feelings on those at this point. Guys! I have new Fortnite gamer player computer. I mean, it's a GTX. So it's something. I appreciate physical media, like I really do. Oh my God, it's on a bed. Oh, why did it take me that long to realize this was a bed? No, but I do appreciate physical media. But I do want to know why you took all the time out to hook up the CD drive to play. Oh, it's Windows XP. Never mind. All of this was lies. Nothing like a little game of chicken when you need to plug in your Ethernet cable. What are you doing to the... What are you ground... You're ground... Oh my God, you're grounding it to... Oh my God. Okay, there's a barrel jack in laptops, older laptops. I hate barrel jacks because the center post breaks and then the laptop won't charge constantly. Anyways, the center is... I think positive, and then the outside is negative. I don't remember. I always have to check. They've taken a paper clip, gone to the center of the adapter, and dumped it into the center pin of the power jack, and then they've grounded out the VGA port back to the ground of the power adapter. Now laptop power adapters are usually like 65 watts, 80 watts. Not a ton, but not inconsequential either. Like this could do some damage. Port light indicates up. Proceed as normal. Don't check stats. All right, so above Ethernet cables is fiber connections, which is using lasers to fire internet very fast. There are different types of fiber though, so you have to put a module into these big square holes called a GBIC or an SFP. We'll call it an SFP, a small form pluggable. On the other side of this is a type of connection called LC, which is very, very tiny fiber cables, 2 of which are inserted into the SFP module on the left. They've forgotten to put this lock here, which would lock it into place. But behind that, I don't know what they've done, because they plugged something else into these LC heads. This is not a normal LC cable. Actually, it might just be severed. I think the entire head is just severed, because that release tab should curve over the 2 little teeth you see pointing up. And I think it's just been broken off. At first I thought something was jammed in there and then they plugged something into the back of that. But no, I think this is just broken off without the connector in, is just hanging on by sheer will. And somehow it's transmitting just enough light to make sure that there's still a link. Because technically if you aim a laser at a receiver, you'll get a connection. But the stats, the dropped packets, the number of interruptions that you have, oh, it's gonna be miserable. Someone posted this to r/Ask Electronics, wondering why the switch they replaced doesn't work. I know they asked, which is great. It's good to ask questions. Genuinely, I appreciate when people ask questions, but if you didn't at least admit that, hey, part of this is burned, does this have anything to do with it? This happens when your soldering iron is either too hot or on there too long, and it burns the pads and the traces. So on that left one, you can actually see there's no path from the trace, that light green part, going to the pin. It's just charred. It's just carbon, probably. I don't know. And so there's no way to get electricity from that pin to that trace to go into the bus that goes onto that switch up there. And we're going to skip over all of the soldering here. But yeah, typically if it's black and charred, something's gone wrong. Y'all think I should buy this? Seems to have a good cooling. A good cooling. Let's see here. It's a Dell Power Connect 5224 switch. $14. Power Connect. I have never heard of a Power Connect switch. I know the obvious joke is that the inside is like empty. Oh, wait. Oh. I got so nerdy on this that I neglected to realize that the holes on the top are definitely not a drill pattern Dell would use. It is just Swiss cheese out somebody took a drill press to this and free-handed out like just some cooling vents. Please tell me you took that top panel off first. Like, I'm sure it had overheating issues. I've never heard of it, which means it wasn't very good. For $14, I'd still buy it out of curiosity though. The worst that happens is it doesn't do anything and you go recycle it and you get a fun story out of it. After 8 weeks of troubleshooting one of our new, very expensive imaging systems, I found the problem. Are you serious? So yeah, there's a shield where you're supposed to it helps you get the silvery goop that cools the CPU between the CPU and the cooler, and it was not removed. So the CPU was just cooking itself, and that makes CPUs unstable. They might still run, but they'll constantly either thermally throttle or thermally shut down or stuff like that. Exhausting. That's so exhausting. I'm so sorry. Rate my NAS! I rate it, you can do this at home, but if you bring this anywhere near my workplace, I will feed you to the cannons. The copiers, that is. They have an excellent booklet finisher. You should see it go. Delitting a PS3. Yeah, I have one of the original PS3s, and I'm just really afraid to open it at this point. Because I don't know what state the thermal... Oh, you delit... I'm sorry, I blanked on that. You took the actual cover off the processor core. Wow. Well, why? I hope it was either broken or you're here to repair it. That's all I'll say. My PSU decided to say no today. Glad to be wearing the brown pants. Yeah, you see that little square thing with a bunch of legs? To the left of the smaller circle. You see how it's kind of squished and melty and burned? That is what's known in the industry as broken. You've released the magic smoke, and once you say hi to the blue smoke demon, you do not get to computer anymore. Took off my CPU cooler and spilled liquid metal all over the MOBO circuits. Oh, I hope you have some toothbrushes. Toothbrushes. I can plural. Sure I can. Life pro tip, don't put UPS batteries unsecured in the trunk of your car with a tire. Those two terminals, ever shall they meet, things shall get angry. In fact, my dad had one of these on our dining room table when I was like 5, and he had a wire going from one terminal, and it was just hanging out with an alligator clip, and the ground terminal was just sitting right there. And here I was, 5-year-old, thinking that like the wire had slipped off. So like I went to go reconnect it for him. He was not in the room, and like it wasn't a fancy dining room table, but it was like, a dining room table you didn't spill stuff on. And I connected it. And fortunately, I didn't get the alligator clips onto the tab, but there were a lot of sparks. And there were a lot more sparks than my 5-year-old brain was ready to comprehend at the time. And I screamed and ran out of the room. I was always very careful around lead acid batteries after that. Random access point that just showed up one day. It is not on our controller, but has been configured to use our SSID. I got one of these once. Completely different model. Everything, but it's just, it was configured to use our SSID. It wasn't hooked up to our network correctly, so like if you connected to it, you just kind of broke. But yeah, sometimes people just like think, oh, I can extend the range of the corporate Wi-Fi by configuring an access point, and they know just enough to be dangerous, but they don't know enough to like actually ask for permission. I don't know. Don't do this. Ticket. The switch is noisy and reboots all the time. Cannot diagnose. That would probably be because it's choking. Here, I will cover, 50% of your airways and see if you reboot. Diagnose that. This MacBook Air I bought to repair and flip is a bit buggy. Oh no, is it full of, it's not full of bugs. Preparing to install, your computer will restart automatically. Oh, okay, there's a Mac drive. It's about -2 that many hours and 25. Is it installed? Did you buy a computer capable of like manipulating time? Because cool, but also I don't think we should be doing that. Oh my God. Oh, there's a second image. Oh, it's full of bugs. I felt so safe. This was the aftermath years ago when our school district was replacing all the iMacs in the high school. Oh, that actually makes me sad. And now they're like collector's items. Everyone in our team hates this darn room. That is not that bad. That is really genuinely not that bad. And you have free ports? You have free switches just like ready to go? Wow, you're funded. Upon disassembly, I think I can see why this RX 580 doesn't work. Yeah, again, if the tiny squares are burned, usually that's bad. Customer came in, said his PC picked up smoking last night. Oh, SATA power fire. Yeah, that'll happen. There's 2 plugs on the back of hard drives and CD drives, stuff like that, called SATA, and one of them is for data and one of them's for power. And the power one will catch fire if you jam something in there. Nice power delivery system for the security cameras I saw at a Chinese shop. Oh, God. No. Please at least have one camera pointed to that so the insurance company doesn't have to pay out as much when they accuse you of negligence. My friend wanted to see the inside of his phone. Oh, is this the guy who like scrapes off the back of his phones? His fingernails of steel, I swear. No need to set up clock again. All right, so there's a tiny battery on the motherboard called a CMOS battery, and it's a little coin cell, and it goes bad after, 5-10 years. I heard something once that there were like rechargeables of them at some point, but I don't remember. But yeah, what they've done is just took 2 giant batteries. I'm guessing they're 3.7 volt something or others because they look weird. And hooked that up to CMOS, which should last you years, like decades, like literal decades. How Amazon shipped my replacement hard drives for my NAS for work. I'm actually not going to blame Amazon quite as much here because I feel like it was the seller or manufacturer's responsibility to package the drives a little bit better. If you sell a hard drive and you send it to Amazon to be warehoused and then sent out via Prime trucks and such, it should be handleable by, warehouse workers and delivery people. These drives look like they're actually packaged in bulk packaging. So there's actually supposed to be like, I don't remember, 20 of them in a big box with a bunch of dividers. Now, if Amazon bought these giant bulk boxes and took out all the drives, then it's their fault. But you also shouldn't be selling bulk drives singularly as retail. I was wondering why my internet was so slow. Now I'm wondering why it worked at all. All right, this is my vision interfering a bit. I'm not sure if the pins just aren't all the way out on the jack because they look shorter on the left-hand side, or if just the wiring's messing up. I'm not paid enough to analyze that right now. Gave my mom a smartwatch for Mother's Day. Plugs a micro USB and her phone charger into the USB-A plug of the watch charger. I didn't know it fits. Okay, wait. Oh, I see now. Okay, all right. The wording of that was confusing. Somehow you can cram. I didn't know this. You could cram a micro B plug into a male USB-A. It won't do anything. You didn't actually break anything. It's fine. But now we know. Don't do that. My motherboard stopped working. Might be all that smoking around your PC, buddy. Oh, gross. The only good thing about vaping is that you don't have to deal with this anymore when you open PCs. Usually, except for this poor person. I'm so sorry. Cheap solar-powered portable charger took in a little too much sunlight. That's a whole lot of vitamin D and lithium and electrolytes. CPU cooler sort of decided to melt. So only sort of didn't get the full commitment. Still got, like 10 blades left. How is my new sticker? It's lovely. It's just in the worst possible place. This is the sticker that was affecting the imaging system before. The sticker that needs to be removed. Literally says remove before installation, and then has the measurements. Yeah, check the bottom of the cooler, folks. We installed a new switch, but now only Wi-Fi works. Oh no. Wait, is that in the new switch? You didn't plug it in! Nothing's plugged in! What did you expect to happen? You have to plug it in and configure it and set it up. What? How do you think it's going to internet? As seen at a table in a restaurant I regularly eat at. They have these outlets at most tables, which are set up against a wall. This smartphone power supply is supposed to have a USB-C, micro B, Lightning, and Apple 30-pin out. Guessing someone felt it was funny to yeet them off. I hate the public. Like, why do people do this? Like, I will never understand. Like, it's not your property. You're not personally making any sort of positive difference in the world. You don't make any things any better or worse for the company, because most of the time they just don't replace it, or they harass their like understaffed IT department to replace it. When the contractor is the one that found this like one-off, really hard to find part, it just makes everyone hate you. And I guess some people are like that. Yeah, look at Twitter. I was hoping replacing the coax with Ethernet would be easy. I was mistaken. That's a really hard thing to do. I'm not sure what they did here. I'm not sure if it's filled with plaster or it's actually like cemented in. What you can do, which is what I'm currently doing, is get something called a G.HN adapter, which lets you put up to 2 gigabits across coax. So you can put you put one of these G.HNs on each side, and you get LAN right through your coax. Yeah. Years of one rogue IT tech in a real estate office I had to go fix. Now I'll weigh this a little bit because I think cable management is very important. But sometimes offices won't give you the downtime for it, or sometimes there's just too much to cover. And like there were areas in a college that I worked at. It was the second college I was managing, and that second college was a beige mess. And there was just too many closets, and there would be too much downtime to just fix the cabling. Like stuff had to get prioritized. So if this is a real estate office and this is like one of many IDFs, or the guy was hourly and they didn't want him to do this, then it wouldn't get done. Like I For smaller clients, I work hourly. If they don't want their cables managed, I'm not gonna spend 3 to 4 hours ripping everything out, labeling it and routing it and all that stuff, unless I really like the client or I'm getting paid for it. But if there was a full-time IT person and they couldn't chalk out like, I don't know, a Friday and be like, you know what, this Friday, everybody go home early and I'm gonna come in late and I'm gonna clean up this closet and label everything so they know where everything is, just in case there's a problem. Or take a Monday off and say I'm coming in Saturday instead, something like that. That's just, if you're not doing that kind of stuff, you're just lazy. Sawdust, an inch thick. Oh, I'm more impressed that the machine survived this. I'm guessing you're opening it because it's dead. So maybe it didn't. No, I see a light. I see a status light, top, middle. Is this thing still running? I'm impressed. Either way, at least you got power going to something. Found this on a bus today. Yeah, why do people destroy publicly available charging? We're trying to give you something to help you charge your stuff. Destroying it just makes you worse than people that talk in movie theaters. Found the problem. Anybody got a flamethrower? Oh no. Oh no, thank you. I'm terribly sorry, client. We had to build a new rig because the old one caught on fire. I just asked for a PSU upgrade. I'm sorry, it's just fire everywhere. Ticket. MacBook isn't charging. I need a new adapter. How did you rip out? Yeah, I don't know how people accomplish the things they do. And that's usually said with impressed. I'm usually impressed by the things that people accomplish. I'm not impressed. I'm disappointed. Chromebook caught fire in a kid's backpack today. Yeah, I can't wait for the liability lawsuits to start rolling in with the crappy batteries they put in these. Actually, this one's a Lenovo. Those are usually a little bit better. Oh, it's not a battery. Oh, it was, yeah, no, it was like a CPU or GPU core. There wasn't a actual, wow. Huh. It must not have actually gone to sleep. Like the kid must have just shut it and it didn't go to sleep and kept running in their backpack and just overheated. Yikes. Was told to clean this up a little. Yep, that's about right. I always look at these and especially ones that use the color coding I use, I freak out a little. This isn't one of mine, was it? It wasn't one of that second college that was a mess. But no, it's not. You can tell it's not one of mine because everything was labeled in all of my closets. Went to my aunt's house to fix her email. She didn't notice the trackpad literally coming out of the base of the laptop. Spice pillow alert! Spicy pillow alert! Got 2 Jesus tickets right there. They told me that the computer wasn't turning on. Oh no, it's turning on. You just couldn't see anything because you took a hammer to its optic nerve. Jesus Christ, CenturyLink. Yeah. I think I talked about this one before. It's just, don't ever look inside boxes like this. It's just chaos. And they'll never get downtime to fix it. You should always, when you're doing stuff like this, it always needs to be well done. And it just takes one person to do it wrong to just create a pileup that can never be undone. Yeah, that'll work. No, it won't. Although if you were an extremely bad IT professional, you could bring in 8 wires and then do a 4-wire split thing. But that makes you a terrible person and you'll go to hell for it. What the frack, AT&T? Okay, these are cold solder. I forget what they're even called, junctions or something. You put 2 wires in them and you crack them, and there's a conductive gel in between. And they're designed for people that don't know how to solder or they're doing an emergency repair. And sometimes it's fine for a fan or something like that if you're installing in your house or whatever. They're not rated for data, and you shouldn't be using 8 of them. You should just know how to do a cable. In fact, you shouldn't be doing a cable splice anyway. You should be terminating this to an RJ45 jack, and then either using a patch cable between the two, just a really short patch cable, to another RJ45 jack, or even an RJ45 plug. I would allow that if it's all inside the box. You can splice if you know what you're doing, but most people don't, and this person clearly didn't. Friend's gaming laptop. Look, you can hit that escape key all you want, but it's not gonna get you out of this reality. I also didn't know SteelSeries made keyboards for laptops, and I also now know who plays those shady graphic novels on Steam. Somebody in the comments says, Dorito Dust Gaming. You're being very generous there. I hope it's Dorito Dust. I wonder why my computer is overheating. Oh, well, let's see here. It's definitely not the lights. You can actually drive a ton of lights and it won't have any effect on your heat. Oh, there's a cat on top. Well, We're going to call that issue A. Get a white cat. They reflect heat better. This is absolutely true in the universe of things I made up. I was literally blinded by those RGBs. I saw the cat only after reading your comment. That is a lot of delicious RGB. I like glowing lights, so like, even if it's garish, I don't care. Staple neon to everything. Not your cat. But hey, there's neon collars.
Very high quality Apple charger. Where did this Smithers voice come from? Oh my god, I can't stop doing it.
Is that an official one? Usually their stuff is so good. We're going to call this issue B, because I'm not sure how you're supposed to get it out. Good luck finding the breaker box. Charger abomination. I lost my charger. Okay, this is actually not that bad. That extension cable is actually from a Logitech unifying receiver. I believe it came up with a bunch of the mouse and keyboard kits. You might not be able to do like power delivery or stuff like that on that, but it'll go fine. I've seen far worse and seen far worse work. Enjoy your 0.2 amps at 4.5 volts. It's not gonna be that bad, but yeah, it won't be power delivery. My first HDMI casualty. Oh, this is my worst fear, especially, oh, that's the top. Oh, that's so weird. There's cutouts in it. I'm sorry, I got distracted because that didn't look like an HDMI cable for a few seconds. But this is my worst fear with HDMI, especially breaking the port itself. Like the cable, meh, but the port or something with an integrated, output port on it that you can't replace. So I did a bad thing. No more connecty. I think I said that exact line many times as a network engineer. Oh no. Oh, you cut patch cables inside the, not patch cable. Oh my God, you cut actual infrastructure cables. Hang on. I'm actually gonna call a little bit of BS on this. Not BS, but like, it's actually fine. So there's no servers in this cabinet. These are what's called fixed cabling. You run it from one place to another and it is fixed. It don't go anywhere. Regular cables move throughout the night without you knowing. That's why your headphones get tangled. Anyway, fixed infrastructure cabling is usually cut to length and then punched down into a patch bay, a thing with a bunch of teeth in it, or a bunch of receivers for ports, basically. And there's no servers in that cabinet, and everything looks pretty shiny. I'm pretty sure you're installing the cables for the patch bay, but I could be wrong. The big problem is if you cut fixed cabling infrastructure, there's no real way to fix it. I mean, you can sit there and splice every set of 8 wires. Each cable has 8 wires in it. But the quality will never be there, and you'll always have problems with it, and you really just have to rerun the entire thing, which can be thousands of dollars. Hooray! Also, your network engineer will find you and fill your lungs with mayonnaise. Source, me. For legal reasons, that was a joke. For moral reasons, it was not. Oh no! Oh my God, what the hell happened here? All right, I've taken a closer look at it, and in my professional opinion, this is what is technically known as up. The solution is good luck. A little isopropyl and a toothbrush will have you good as Asus laptop not turning on. Oh, I'm sorry. My first response was going to be, well, you have to assemble it first. But Lord have mercy, is that black? It's like black mold or something? I will say, I have the first gen Zephyrus. It was my old laptop for many years, and it did blow a fan bearing. My house had a lot of dust because it was a very old place in New York. But still, like, it ran for 3 or 4 years and it was like cleaned out fairly regularly. I really long for the day when you can have replaceable filters on the front of your laptop fans. Lenovo had super tiny servers that were basically ultra small form factor desktops that have removable little tiny screens that you could take out and clean. And they were perfect when you had to mount a server in a restaurant or somewhere awful. I've seen cleaner used barbecues. I've seen cleaner movie theater floors. I've seen cleaner used movie theater barbecues. I actually don't know what CS is. Computer science? I didn't want to buy a new one. Oh, customer states. Okay. Oh my God. Oh no, don't do this. I'm not even gonna explain why. Do not tempt me with explanations on how exactly many ways this can lead to a fire. Just don't, thank you. Instead, I wanted to try to burn my office to the ground. Oops. Found this at school while organizing. How hard were you organizing? What is that? Hang on, speaker. That's like the touchpad, right? That's not the hinge. Oh wait, no, that's not the hinge side. That's the front. That's directly under the touchpad. What is that? God, the problem with these things is I get so damn curious. It's either the world's smallest laptop battery pack or some idiot put the processor directly under the touchpad. Or I'm misreading this whole thing, but that's possible too. I lost my watch charger. I have actually done this. Pebble! Oh my God, there's somebody still rocking a Pebble! For anybody listening that hasn't paid into Social Security yet, The Pebble was basically the first smartwatch that was actually practical. It had an e-ink display and it had a week-long battery life and a completely open like app infrastructure. You could write your own apps for it. It still, required coding knowledge and stuff. But as a result, there were all sorts of cool apps, like Bluetooth control of your music, long before that was ever a thing. I didn't have the Founders Edition, but I had one of the first gens. And unfortunately, they were very cheap. They were like $70-something. And I got into a New York subway car once, went from like a blazing hot summer to the car was super cold, and whatever happened, the display fogged and like a bunch of lines showed up on the screen. And I was so sad. Anyways, Fitbit bought them and then like immediately killed them. I don't know why. I've yet to see another smartwatch with the same capabilities with a week-long battery life. So Pebble, I miss you. Fitbit, you. Network switch pulled from a factory floor near a plasma cutter? And it still works. And this was after it was shaken out. Yeah, network switches are some of the most ridiculous bastards. Oh my God. I was working at a construction site where we had flooding, and for whatever reason, they had designed all of the floors to drain towards the center, treating that as the service way for water drainage, which was also where all of the IT equipment was on every single floor. So the bottom floor had about 3 inches of water in the floor, and every other one had been rained on for roughly 6 hours. I think we lost 2 out of 14 switches, and that was only because I probably should have waited longer to power them on, except I didn't know what had actually happened to begin with. I just saw an off switch. That was my first sign that something was up. I tried to power it on, and I heard a very loud noise, and all the lights flashed very bright. And then I smelled magic smoke, and I left. I turned the power to the closet off. Then I left. But other ones rained on for like 6 hours with a water main above them broken. Totally fine. User left their MacBook in the fridge overnight because it was overheating. I swear this is a double post. I swear somebody else posted this to. Okay, now I'm confused. I think somebody's copy pasting this. The thing in the fridge thing is not a terrible idea. The LG V10 was a phone that had issues with overheating causing boot loops, which happened during a train trip when I was spending 3 days away from home. It was great. But to get all my photos off of it, I had to stick the phone in a freezer, run a USB cable out, and get all my photos off that way, because that was the only way it would boot. However, as you can see here, the problem is the condensation. Condensation's gonna beat up on everything, and it's gonna move dust and crap and other stuff around so that it conducts electricity and just creates shorts everywhere. Now, if you just let it sit for several days and let it completely dry out, maybe a dehumidifier, you should be okay. It's not, but I mean, in general, this is okay in a get your stuff off of it and buy a new computer, or don't treat this one as reliable. Hey, can I get help with plugging in my iPad? No, the frack you can't. Not with that demon brick you just brought in. Not today, Satan. Maybe tomorrow. Call me. Can't. Electrons found a way out. They gone. Customer doesn't want to pay for backup internet service. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What? How is this solving a okay. That's a hotspot. Is this their secondary? I'm so confused. Okay, this is why I'm confused. Plenty of SMB, small to medium business, or a SOHO, small office, home office, routers support just a straight up USB plug on the back, and you can plug that into a hotspot and use it as a failover internet connection. In fact, there are even some smaller firewalls that offer this, and a lot of the Synology routers just have dual WAN ports. You can plug your main internet there and your hotspot into another one because it's a backup, and then you tell your firewall only let the important stuff through when our main internet goes through. So I'm concerned as to one, why it's overheating, because I worked off a hotspot for a year. It did not overheat on me. And 2, why a hotspot isn't a good backup connection for what appears to be a fairly small install. I don't know. I don't get it. Update. I didn't see the caption. This is nobody's fault or anything. There's not usually a caption. Customer doesn't want to pay for backup internet service, so they got a hotspot with a bad battery and an overheating problem taped to a fan to run their office network. If it's a backup, a hotspot is still fine. You should tell your firewall, hey, only this stuff goes through if the main internet is down. So bandwidth control shouldn't be a problem. But a hotspot with a bad battery and overheating, oh, do I have a essay on batteries exploding. And that's all I need to say about that. User states, PC runs like crap. I've never seen crap run. No. I can't even think of an hourly rate that would justify this. what brand is that keyboard? Well, I need the brand of that keyboard. It's fuzzy, but if that keyboard still works, I need to know what it is. Indestructible. Itronics and General Dynamics grade. Why is our entry phone not working? Entry phone. Oh. Welcome to Telecom. Telecom sucks. You want to know why it sucks? Because you can be really lazy and it can just barely work and nobody will notice. Data is finicky. The cable has voltage drop or like it's kinked or has shorted connectors. So like you will not be getting all the data. Phones, you'll just hear a little crackle and it'll be just fine. 60% of America's copper phone infrastructure is made of fishing line wrapped in well-meaning fortune cookie fortunes and probably soaked in coffee and nicotine. I wish I was joking. The critical extension cord that runs the main office internet at my job. Still not unplugged. I love it's always a post-it. It's always a post-it with like an off-brand Sharpie. I am proud to see that they're using 14 or 16 gauge cable. Like that's good. Even if it's a big internet router, it should only be like 300 watts. Like this is fine from an electrical standpoint. From every other standpoint, it's stupid. Guy comes up to me at work and says he wants a car charger, like a Tesla charger, then proceeds to show me his little hot pocket. It's a spicy pillow! Spicy pillow bingo! Jesus Christ, don't plug that thing in. Why do you have that plugged in? Tiny self promo, I did an entire video on why this is bad. Just look up Spicy Pillows the Lexikitty and hang on to your butts. We need less power. We need what? Wait, we need what? No, you needed less power like 5 minutes ago. What you need now is a new board and a new set of pants. Grape jelly is not a substitute for thermal compound? It isn't? Yeah, man, I was surprised too. The building is pre-wired. Oh my God, by who? Not only should they never work in the industry again, but I have this jar of mayonnaise and this here air compressor. Lay down, this won't hurt. For me. CPU fan not working. CPU fan has no blades, sir. I like to think that those little tiny gears are the fins. Like he's just trying his best. He just get little tiny arms. Would you remove it or leave it? Should I stay or should I? What? Oh, that's a battery. Oh, what did you do? How did you do that? That's not remotely where any of the screws go in an iPhone question mark. It just says Apple Japan. If you get pretty close to dead center, it's just better to leave it because you really don't want to short igniting any of the gas that's created when the electrolyte starts to break down. So I would leave it and not charge it. Like unless this is about to be put in back to service, in which case replace the battery. Dumbass. The SATA power port, SATA, have a fight in the comments, of one of my hard drives broke off when I brought my computer to college, making do in a dorm to get my files off. Oh, you are so lucky. Oh my God, I was having a heart attack. The power port broke off, not the data port. Oh, you are so lucky. You can actually, if you are very careful, we did this once. You can take the controller board off of one hard drive and put it onto another. And using recovery software, this won't work like you can't just slap it in. Using recovery software, you can just read the raw bits off the platters and put that into an image. And then when you reassemble that image, you get the data. We did it once, we did it successfully. It was with server drives. I don't remember all the steps and they were fairly small. So like we had a little bit better chance of success. But yeah, the bottom board fried and it wasn't even set up by us. It was set up by an external vendor for one of our departments for a product they purchased and it was never properly set up by them. We weren't even supposed to be touching it, but we were trying to get the files off of it for them. But I'm really glad you got your data off, or at least it looks like it. Your temporary fix. That's honestly perfectly fine. Like for just a recovery scenario. Like I've seen way worse, way more guts of hard drives hanging out while everybody just holds their breath and hopes. Fun stuff. It's always from the least assuming colleagues. Some people just have like amazing tolerances. Like I am cluttery. I don't do like food, like I'm not somebody who leaves like food wrappers everywhere, but I have a lot of tech and a lot of cables and stuff. So like there's always a project going on. So the place gets dusty sometimes. Like I'm gonna be the first to admit that. I have an air filter and nothing I own looks that bad. But even I get bothered if like my screens are dusty, my keyboards are dusty, stuff like that. Like I'll blow it off with a can of air every once in a while. I'll make sure my fans are clean, like, twice a year, once a year, depending on how much they're actually used. I couldn't work on this. Like, this is not a daily drive. This is a barn find level of grime, and I've seen worse. somebody, I fixed their computer and their entire keyboard was just caked in lotion. It's not what you think. She just had dry hands and just constantly would apply lotion to it. She did it while I was there. She just had a bottle of lotion on her office desk and would just apply it to her hands and then like not wipe her hands or anything, just start typing. And I'd just sit there being like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to touch that again. It runs a bit warm. Did you use blue tack? What did you use? What are these chiclets gum? Did you put fruit by the foot down as thermal paste? What is this? Hey Linus, can you test like the thermal conductivity of fruit by the foot? Friends said that his PS4 isn't accepting discs. Well, it accepted one. It just wasn't the right one and it won't be accepting anymore. Actually, that should be okay as long as like the gears or whatever aren't stripped. I'm actually not familiar with the inside of a PS4. I haven't had to open mine yet. Kludge soldering to save some money. Hey, you should talk to the last guy. He found money in his PS4. Also, that is that's pretty good. Well, the end one's a little rough, but like overall, you could have done much worse. This is the bad version of what I was afraid of. That guy that on the way to college broke off the SATA power connector. This is the data port. This is the important part, and this is the finicky part. And like this is one way to do it. This is very much a we're gonna do this once and get all the files off of it at the end. But yeah, you did all right for, you know, an emergency patch. Not bad, as long as it works. Saw this at my work today. Was it in Florida? No, I'm genuinely not kidding. Like there are machines that run like point of sale and stuff like that at beachfront restaurants and those like half in, half out villa style places. Everything in there that is not galvanized stainless steel is just orange. It's amazing. Abuse of school computers. What else is new? Oh, holy hell. That's a bit much. Guessing Lenovo because of the full bottom anti-slidey pad thing. What happened? Why? Computers should have the right to self-defense. There should be like, no, you're punching me. I'm gonna take this here battery. and I can't describe the rest of that sentence because it's probably constitutes teaching you to make something bad. Had a 1 terabyte micro SD fail out of warranty. Oh, figured I would find out how they're built. I thought it would have to be stacked. No, but there's around 40 dies in here. Yeah. They're all printed, usually in one solid sheet. It's actually much harder to stack stuff for like NAND flash and things like that. I'm not an expert in this, but I remember way back with Adafruit was getting their pick and place machine set up. They talked about how hard it was to just do stuff on XY and how much way harder it is to stack stuff. And especially for producing stuff at scale. I'm sorry it failed on you though. But for reference, that kind of stuff, even nowadays when it's much cheaper, is like $100 at least. Have you seen a network cab worse than this? I've never heard it say cab. Also, don't post pictures on the internet that have labels showing. Just security minded me. But yes, I've seen worse. I've seen much worse. That is not that bad. Look at a hospital IT closet sometime because they get no downtime. Because people don't just stop getting sick because you need downtime. And honestly, most of this isn't like tied up and not traceable. Like this is genuinely not that bad. You should be able to handle this. Like, I don't know, maybe if you're used to like really pristine cabinets with racks, but that's not that bad. Old coworker sent me this. Okay, it took me a few minutes to realize that the entire thing is being held up by the cart. Oh my God, no. I was like, what? The rack's on there, the cable's, you know, it's a little messy, but it's like cosmetic, it's fine. Like it's spaced out enough from the power panel. What are they, going on the power panel for? That's fiber, so that's fine. Oh, the cart has a bunch of stuff stacked on it. Oh, it's touching the rack. Oh, it's holding up the rack. This is what happens when you pick out the location of the rack before the building is built and then the studs don't line up. And then you try to use toggle bolts or some crap to nail it to sheetrock and maybe it just barely holds. But the minute you put like a switch and a UPS in it, it just comes flying down. What I don't understand why all the cabling's already running, because if you couldn't get the rack there, you shouldn't be continuing, like you should stop running cable. You should find a new location for the rack. But I've seen all sorts of stupid reasons for stupid things. Makeshift cooling system for my laptop, because I am convinced this thing doesn't have a fan. Very rounded corners. HP? Are you running it like clamshell mode with this? Yeah, that's an 8K. Wow, HDMI cable. Actually, this might be one of those older Vostros or Inspirons. One of the lower end Dell stuff, whatever it's called now. I think Vostro is dead. I think it's all Inspiron now. Inspiron, XPS, and Latitude, maybe? Is that still there? I don't know anymore, man. They keep taking stuff away from us. Give me good, rugged, square, chunky laptops, please. It's just a can of club soda from a fridge that I have to change every 3 hours. Going to get a fix, but this is my Band-Aid solution for now. Hey, I'll criticize a lot, but one thing I will always say is, at the end of the day, does it work for now? And you recognize that it's a problem? Like, as long as these two conditions are fulfilled and you plan to fix it, like actually plan, not just, yeah, sure, I'll get to it, then it's fine. If it fits, it sits. Okay, fitting. Fitting is a very relative term here. Please, Dirk, I was just complaining about laptops not having enough ports. What are you doing? Why do you need 4 NICs? 3 NICs. 3 NICs and a power cable. You're allowed a power cable and you're allowed an extra NIC. 2 if you're a network engineer. 3 is far too many. Dude tried to make Spider-Man out of a laptop. Someone plugged an M.2 SATA directly into SATA. Oh, no. Oh my God. How did they think they were gonna get the data out? For those uninformed, the M.2 port is like one solid connector, which does power and data. There's a little gap, but it's all on one side of the board. If your power connector completely covers it, even just from a layperson standpoint, like how will the data get out? This is probably somebody who complains that power cables aren't wireless yet somehow doesn't want instant cancer. This splice I found in an open area at my local community center. Oh, this is not a good fix. Link to kitchen, that actually makes a lot of sense. Okay, kitchens are weird. You said it was a community center, so I'm going to guess the budget isn't billions and billions. So what usually happens is you commission or you bid out a contract for a kitchen. You provide the stoves and everything, and they come in with point of sale, computers, everything like that, and they also run the networking. Or sometimes they'll spec the networking and have you run it, etc. But they decide where it needs to go and everything. You don't get to run that. So if you get a kitchen kind of after the fact, or if the kitchen decides to upgrade on their own terms, you just kind of have to run networking wherever you can. Now, there are jack locks for this kind of situation. Panduit makes something that basically slips over the network cable and locks it into place. They're used for VoIP services and stuff like elevator phones and 911 services so that you can't accidentally or on purpose unplug the jack. Those should be on both sides of the cable. And objectively, this should be back in a patch bay somewhere. This is what we call a dry patch. And it's a pain to find if it ever gets disconnected because you'll be tracing to a different room and you don't know what's going on. But it does happen just due to things going in at different times. It shouldn't, but I see how it did. If you can avoid it, go for it. If you can't, sometimes you just gotta make do. Starting a cleanup in a 40-plus-year-old business in a 120-plus-year-old building. Yeah. Yep, I've done a lot of that. That's actually not terrible. It's pretty bad, but when you start finding bottles of orange juice under server racks, yeah, I have scars. Actually, the electric box is super cool. Also, don't run power and data together because induction. Saw this while upgrading thin clients. Still works. DVI, I genuinely, I know there's real uses for all the pins on DVI, but I just from my initial impressions, I didn't know what half of what the pins on DVI did because I saw so many DVI cables, the pins, completely destroyed and the thing still worked. I was like, what are all these pins for? It's still working just fine. What is all this for? Good, don't get me wrong. It's good to have a dependable connector. But yeah, they'll keep trucking through a lot of stuff. 2-picture horror story. Oh no, we've got, anytime you have a mem test, you're just having a bad day. You never go into memtest happy. Actually, that's a lie. I run all refurbished servers when we buy them through memtest. Anyway, memtest tests your memory, not your memory, the computer's memory. And I think it can do a few other things, but no, first pass, already got an error. So they opened up the board. I actually had to look this post up because I was slightly confused as to what I was seeing. The RAM soldered to the board. So, usually RAM clips out, it comes out in a little chip, and then you can replace it or add on. In this case, it's just on the board, unless you would do a lot of really fiddly surface mount soldering. It's junk, it's e-waste. Well, according to the replies, Windows and Linux, you can actually tell them to ignore the bad areas of RAM and keep working around them and create a map of all the bad areas and just keep going. But it's never going to be at performance level. But yeah, this is why I don't buy laptops with soldered RAM, which is getting harder and harder every day. Is this the famous bug that every developer talks so much about? No, it's not, because you found it. This is the findable bug. This is the one you needed 5 layers of different duct tape to make go away. I mean, that would work too. Fun fact, the first bug was in fact an insect. Yes, it was. This is true. That made its way into a vacuum tube computer and made it misbehave. Oh, I need to do like a whole story on that. That's genuinely funny. Battery had a meltdown and grenade itself. Oh wow, did it actually get some concussive force out? Like, I can see the heat melted the trackpad a little, but like, did it actually blow out? That'd be hilarious. Not for the user, but any damage to an HP computer is good damage in my book. I don't hate HP, I just hate HP. A gentleman brought his dinky HP laptop into the shop today. According to him, when the battery cooked off, it blew the left mouse button off with enough force to lacerate his wife's face and hands, in addition to the chemical burns. He had us pull the SSD. He's going to be sending the machine back to HP for compensation, as he very well should. Yeah, I was about to say, oh, HP is gonna pay you off so they do not face a lawsuit for that, because, yeah. But yeah, a quick tip for you, HP. Stop using cheap parts and stop using cheap crappy batteries and make hinges out of something that isn't freaking paper. I'm fine, why do you ask? An HP tech once told me that HP calls these thermal events. If you have an HP branded spicy pillow, drop those 2 words into the tech support ticket. Oh, and supposedly HP will drop everything and send out a technician to replace the battery, even if the device is out of warranty. That's really cool if I ever spent money on an HP device. Bent 2001, Athlon chips. Oh man, my first computer was an Athlon. Athlon 2700 XP Plus, I think, which was like clearance, old stock, something. I was like 13 or 14 and was on a budget of like $400. And like, it was the first computer I had built that wasn't just like assembled from parts out of like scrap and garbage and whatever salvage I could find. It was a piece of crap, but it was my piece of crap. And it ran, and still, I think it ran for like well over a decade. More like 2004, that's a 939 chip. Okay, I'm not sure if the 939 chip is the actual model number or some sort of joke. If it's the actual model number and you're literally correcting this, you're the annoying one, just so you know. This one little AP running an entire warehouse. Oh, Godspeed, friend! Godspeed! Can't tell if that's one of the older Ruckus units or one of the newer Aeronet 2800 or whatever they are. 2802i, I think, for internal antenna. One of those are the Ruckus. If there's not a lot of devices, this is actually fine. Like a big giant AP with lots of power, serving like 10 devices in wide empty space, totally fine. It's when you get into high density situations where you have lots of devices, 1 AP, that you need to have less APs with less power spread out more evenly. Sorry, my specialty was Wi-Fi networks, so like, I can go on for years about that. Someone put a banana in my backpack that made its way into my laptop. What in the, what? How did it make it to the inside? How did it get inside? That's the back of it. Did it come in through the cooling fan? Did you not have it in like a case or something? Okay, I try not to blame the end user. But if you just throw your laptop, like, do people do that? Do people not put like a sleeve on it? Like all my backpacks have like the little slot in the back, like the TSA slot. But if I'm just throwing it into like a satchel or something, like it goes in like a squidgy neoprene sleeve thing. But I'm sorry that happened. Either way, that really sucks. Also, you should sue whoever put the banana in your backpack, or just slap them really hard. Whatever makes you feel better. My job fixes oven control boards. Oh, interesting. This is one we couldn't fix. Yeah, see, the issue here is that everything is on fire. Or was at one point. That's the main issue. At least it works. Okay, on one of my explanations videos, a bunch of people yelled at me for criticizing the AWG or wire gauge of cables powering a PS4 and said, no, that gauge wire should be totally fine, blah, 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 blah. I have miles of this particular cable. This is 23 to 24 AWG solid core copper wire, and it is not rated for what is usually 19 volts, however many amps. This is not safe. This will heat up, especially the way the connectors are. This one we can all agree that you shouldn't do, even though you shouldn't have done the other thing either. Okay? Okay. Actually, the picture's kind of fuzzy. That might be braided core wire, in which case that's even worse. Not so ultimate ears. Ears? I've never heard the little flippy things called ears. That's adorable. Oh, I'm stealing that. Okay, so that is GCFI. So theoretically, when you get shocked, it should turn off pretty quickly. This is not advice. Don't do that to the 3 people that are gonna do it anyway. You better deny this in court. How am I supposed to present my screen now? Well, you can try not breaking 5 adapters each month, maybe. This is just a little tip from an IT professional. If you don't break things, sometimes they'll keep working. I know, incredible concept. That being said, ports did used to have screws on both sides to prevent this kind of thing. However, that doesn't really work in today's climate where the laptop can be lighter than the cable itself. And also manufacturers hate I/O for some reason. Well, I think my charging brick is done for. No, the charging brick's just fine. You, however, are done for if you touch that. God's Wi-Fi is just a poke away. My school Wi-Fi is run by a bird. Okay, but does the bird support beamforming? I wonder if its wings like support Wi-Fi 6. I'm so curious about this bird now. No, it's just traffic management. If you're trying to watch 4K YouTube on free public Wi-Fi, it just attacks you. Like, stop. No, you don't need 4K video anywhere on an internet connection you're not directly paying for. Guess I paid 980 euros for this motherboard. I'm confused about the phrasing. Are you saying guess how much I paid for this? 9 euro? Is that South or North Bridge supposed to have a heatsink on it? I've been hanging around servers too long. I don't remember which one goes where. Is that your microprocessor die, or are you just happy to see me? I'm sorry. I'm very, very caffeinated today. I mean, how else would you mount a monitor to the wall? I don't know. With an actual freaking VESA mount would be a good start. I mean, the wall looks like masonry, so the screws aren't going anywhere. The screws will be there long after you die. And I know why you stopped. It's because you probably couldn't get them any farther. However, it is at this point that you go back the screws back out, get shorter ones, and get a bracket that actually fits against the wall. Not zip tie. Stuff to the... I respect the ingenuity, but this is... I had $5 and I needed to mount a monitor to my college dorm room wall. Levels of build, not anything that should be professional. Now, if you did only have $5, and this is how you mount it, still get some shorter screws, man. Just cut them. At least we know the electricians did a good job. Only a single AP went offline. Well, yeah, most of your APs are running through your PoE over Ethernet. They don't have anything to do with... I mean, this is bad either way. I'm sorry, I was just hung up on that. I was like, how are you powering your APs? Yeah, there have been a few flood instances that I've got to walk in on and fix. But I've seen Cisco switches just drenched in water, crackling, making very angry noises, and bright flashing lights, and still running. So I'm not surprised. They're built for some pretty tough situations. I'm gonna need you to update the price for oil changes on the digital display. $34, 44. Oh, and semi-synthetics also 44, 80 something, 88. Did somebody forget the login to the digital signage? Or did they make like one... I shouldn't laugh, but a place I knew once put their like menus and some like promo images and stuff just on a USB flash drive and plugged it in to a TV and just ran a slideshow, which was hilarious because it looked like it did the slideshow animations and everything. It looked like we were just watching like grandma's favorite moments on a Walmart digital photo frame while trying to also order at a grill. But yeah, it's either that or somebody forgot to log into the digital signage. I'm going with the first one because it's probably more likely for an oil change place. The horrendous screen burn on this TV in a hotel bar. Ironically, the photos were taken on a Google Pixel, the only phone engineered by Google. Yeah, screen burn is really weird to see. I'm glad it's gotten better with OLED, like especially with like the refresh, whatever to call it, regenerating, where it like does the magic thing with the pixels while it's off. And there's a lot of tricks that manufacturers use now where they like move the image slightly and stuff like that, so it's not as bad. But plasma displays were awful for it. Plasma displays were like everywhere for a while for digital signage. And I didn't understand why, because they weren't using particularly dynamic elements. It was just like, hey, sale. And then like 2 weeks later, sale, same graphic, maybe slightly different colors. But I was like, you're gonna get screen burn in at those locations, especially in New York. Like flagship stores will just open ridiculous things plastered with the displays. And a few of them went all plasma and it all looked horrible in like 4 years. Digital signage really needs to be like nano LED, like the actual LED billboard kind of things, because then you're just looking directly at lights. Super bright, super readable even in daylight, no burn in. That's how you do it. Another MacBook, another day. Magic smoke? What is that? What is that? I'm not pulling up a logic board keyboard schematic just to understand what they say. Lord have mercy, what the? That looks like oxidation. So like, I'm thinking there was water damage as well as fire. I don't even know what happened here. I'm also almost afraid to learn because I don't want to have to fix this. Second slide looks like an acid trip. Like the entire thing was taken on a trip through acid. Yeah, I'm boring. I don't do acid. I just listen to a lot of psytrance. I bet they're wondering why the screen is always blue. What, still have it like a protector thing? Oh no. Is it on the case? I love big, giant, rugged case things. They're just so pleasing and chunky. Camera's in the middle, so it's either a Surface or a Galaxy Tab. Probably nobody. There is paid enough to risk removing it and having the manager yell at them. Yeah, probably. I put a skin on the top of my laptop, but that is also because it was rainbow holographic. So, you know, protection and chaos. It goes together. Wi-Fi router at my friend's place. The guys who installed it apparently said this was fine and that they do it like this often. Oh, do you? Oh, can I get your name, address, and blood type? Oh, I don't want it to be quick. Oh my God. If you're gonna work in tech, I will back up 2 steps. If you don't work in tech and like you're just trying to rig something up either for a one-day, weekend. I've forgotten how to English. If you're rigging stuff up for a conference and they need Wi-Fi in a room that you didn't know about, stuff will look like this, but it'll be for a weekend and you'll just gaff tape it to like the nearest surface that you hope won't get damaged by gaff tape and you'll pray it just works and it's fine. You take it down, you're done. If you're installing Wi-Fi for a customer, even if it's a budget customer, even if you don't have everything that you need, I've been in those situations, you make it look better than this. Thermal paste 1, CPU 0. Oh my God, what is your thermal how old is that thermal paste? It is completely solid. What in the... Did you use thermal paste from the Reagan administration? I'm convinced it's not even thermal paste. It's just a shiny rock they shoved in there. This was inside a PC being recycled. Jesus Christ, what the... Okay. We were just talking about thermal paste. Thermal paste is a goopy thing that moves heat from the CPU to a fan and a heat sink. So the heat sink kind of dissipates the heat away from the CPU, and then the fan helps blow it away. You're just trying to remove as much heat as possible from the CPU because the CPU gets really hot, around 90 degrees Celsius at like really on the warmer end. That's Velcro. Velcro don't do anything. Velcro does not conduct heat. There are whole people having very uninteresting arguments about like the proper pattern of thermal paste for peak thermal performance. And then there's this guy, or whoever was recycling the PC, it was just like, it stayed on. I'm guessing like the holes didn't line up or something, and they were just like, well, this thing came with it, and it just needs to go on. So I just Velcro. Oh, like I see some sort of schmuck stuff on the CPU itself. So maybe there was heat. There was not heat. Maybe there was thermal paste on there before. I don't know, and it makes me angry. Also, the smell would be awful because it's boiling Velcro. And one of our users, I'm gonna translate, wrote numbers above the function keys with a graphite pencil. Any idea why? Cause the freaking function numbers are tiny? I'm sorry, I understand this one perfectly. Probably because I'm sight impaired, but also like I use all of the function keys. In fact, there are 24 function keys. Most people are like, oh, there's only F12. Yeah, on original IBM Model M keyboards, and you can still get Cherry. Yes, that Cherry. Keyboards for inventory and sales register stuff, there are always 24 F keys. You can map stuff to F13 through F24. I have them mapped to my Stream Deck and to a little programmable number pad. I use the hell out of those things. I don't know how people get around, like every time I hit one and like the volume goes down, I'm like, no, I was using that. Even just basic stuff like Excel. But anyways, that's my function key. But yeah, no, they're tiny. They keep making the volume, like the made up functions bigger that change on almost every other laptop model besides Macs, and you can't see, especially if you're using Excel. Like I'm guessing this is probably somebody that was using Excel. You use the function keys all the time in that if you're actually using Excel like a lot. Maybe they have poor eyesight. Yeah, see what I say, and the F numbers are too small to read. They are. Also, don't ever cross home, end, and the function, like Put your made up stuff off of that. Home and end can be function up, down, left, right. Oh, I have very strong opinions on keyboards if you haven't noticed. Hopefully no pins broke off or I am wasting time trying to straighten them back. Oh, you're wasting time. I'll just save you the time. You're wasting time. You have slightly more chance than the sockets with the pins facing up, but you really don't have a chance. I'm sorry. Like all these have to be perfect and you have to have not discharged anything into the chip. I can see from the picture that you are a squishy human. This probably won't work. But yeah, you know, try. Might save you some money. Built-in USB port on the home theater seats at a friend's house is outputting 30 volts. Oh, and has killed a phone, a Wii U tablet, and my USB port tester. I have a theory. Okay, so some of those power recline and some of them do like the subwoofer bass thing where it shakes the seats. I'm guessing somebody who was building and upholstering a chair, and I'm not blaming them for this, was given poor directions on how to wire up the USB port because marketing departments just think that you slap USB ports on things and you can charge an extra $100. And if you open it up, it's probably hot glued to some speaker wire or to some other probably really undergauged wire that goes to like either the power recline or the base or something like that. That's my 2 cents. Yeah, 30 volts. Jesus. If you're unaware, don't feel bad. USB ports are supposed to output 5 volts max. The thing that changes is the amperage. Think of it as a pipe. The pipe is always the same diameter, but the amount of water you push through it, like for higher end devices, can be 1 amp, 2.4 amps, keeps going up. And then we get into power delivery, and I'm not doing that because the voltage tends to shift. But it should never be 30 volts. I ran out of cable, so some positive connections are black. Oh no, and several IO has the same color. What in the, what are you building? Okay, I was a quarter convinced that this was a trolley post. I'm still not unconvinced. What in the, okay, wait, hang on. I'm trying to find a microcontroller. Where's the brain? What's, oh, there's an Ethernet port. That's a Raspberry Pi. Okay, there's a Raspberry Pi in the dead center. There's a ribbon cable going to probably a camera. Okay, so Raspberry Pi. This is the worst wired project I've ever seen. I'm so sorry. I don't know what you're building. I'm sure it's amazing, but what in the goddamn hell? You know they sell spools of solid core wire for you to do your own wiring once you've done prototyping. The braided core little 0.1 millimeter pitch header, pin to pin jumper cables, that's for prototyping. Why do you have a breadboard stapled to the side? Where is this gray Ethernet cable in the middle even going to? If you need disk, you know JST connectors exist, right? Even like a bunch of Molexes would be better than this. Jesus Christ, you just got like, okay, I'm half convinced this is trolling or somebody that just like could not be bothered with any type of prototyping process that would be replicable. It's good Lord, you sneeze and this spaghetti Furby is just going to explode and you're gonna have no idea what happened. We had an internet problem at my school today. Well, the rack's still on the walls, so that's a good start. Okay, I've been staring at this for a little. The plugs look weird, but all international plugs look weird to me. I'm trying to figure out the issue. Like the cables are like a tiny bit messy, but like you don't even have 24 connections in here. Like I would cable manage it because I'm a weirdo, but like there's no reason to spend this time, especially if it's a school and like you usually have an understaffed IT department. There's no reason to waste time like cable managing this unless you're doing it for fun like I was. I'm sure there's something obvious, like there's probably like a mouse somewhere and like I can't see it because I'm dumb. There are 2 black cables in ports 1 and 2 of the edge switch at the bottom that looks like the same cable that would cause a network loop. And then there's just some PoE injectors for a couple of APs. There's probably something really obvious, but if you think this is a mess, oh, bless your heart. UPS stands for unintentional punting service. Did it explode? UPS stands for uninterrupted power supply. It's like a giant battery that keeps computers on even when there's no power. And sometimes we'll send the computer a signal saying like, hey, we're on battery, you should shut stuff down. So servers will shut stuff down and stuff like that. And usually it gives you 30 minutes to like shut everything down. I'm pretty sure that like gave out with some force. 16 gigabytes of MAR. So stupid. Oh, I love it. RAM is the memory chips on your computer. The gold bit should be facing down. So I guess technically this is 16 gigabytes of WAD. But MAR sounds funnier. I like it. Somebody really shove that in. I mean, I've done this like once or twice when like just throwing stuff together on a bench and like talking to my boss or something while not paying attention, then just looking down and be like, oh. But, 60-hour, 70-hour work weeks will do that to you.
Can you recover the data?
Possibly. But when there's fire involved, it depends on how much electricity started the fire. You can do some amazing things with data recovery, but you can't do magic, and you can't untoast bread with data recovery, I'm sorry. Hard drives these days are crazy. Oh, there are so many problems. Oh God. I work with a lot of storage arrays and stuff like that, and so this stuff just gives me anxiety. This is Disk Manager in Windows. The top one looks okay. Still offline is a little weird. Disk 4, when it says unknown, unless it's expected, that's sometimes a problem. Although it might just be an uninitialized, completely brand new disk. Disk 5, unknown, that many gigabytes? Disk 6, unknown, that many gigabytes? Either your RAID controller is completely blown, or the minute you try to write any sort of partition table to that, the entire disk just implodes because it has no idea what it's doing anymore. I hope you didn't have any. I hope those are brand new disks and you can just return them. Or your RAID controller is just freaking out and inventing ghosts VHDs for pleasure and enjoyment. This micro USB cable. I mean, it's kind of bad. It's trying to escape its fleshy prison. Let it molt. Let it be free. Not bad, seen much worse. Deconstructed Chromebook. Somehow, it still runs perfectly fine. Yeah, I mean, I hate to say this, but laptops are just computers smashed into very tiny boxes. If you take a laptop completely apart and keep all the wires intact and connected, it'll run just fine. There are people that like mount, I love the people that mount like laptop boards up on the wall. I know some people do it with like full PCs, but like the laptops just work a little bit better. But yeah, if you take the headlights out of your car and you run a 20-foot cable and you mount them on giant sticks on top of your car, it'd look amazing. It would piss off all the states with stupid vehicle inspections. Yes, I'm going to die on that hill, but the headlights would still work just fine. Is my main board broken, or is this still salvageable? I don't know. Let's see. Oh, was that a serious question? Okay, we need to have a talk about PCBs for a second. PCB is printed circuit board, and that is all the very tiny, like when you look at the Death Star and you see a little tiny lines and stuff, that's all the little tiny lines that are on the motherboard. Those are actually important, unlike on the Death Star. Those are called traces, and they connect various electrical components between each other. And if you look at traces, usually in a kind of CAD-like viewer, it looks like architectural blueprints, and they get very complicated. However, as motherboards have added more and more technology over the last couple decades, we started making multi-layer traces. So usually you have like a double layer of traces on each side. So you basically have 4 layers of traces. I don't know if they ever got up to 3. Probably possible, but at a certain point you start to run into heat dissipation and stuff like that. So when you break all of that on a single layer PCB, you would be able to solder the traces to each other. And even on like a front and a back PCB, you might be able to find all the traces, put solder across them, do a somewhat good repair job, especially if it's not high voltage. On a quad layer, you can't get to the underlayer because it's all laid down as a trace. Like it's baked into the board before the components are even put on. There is no way to repair this. So I'm hoping this wasn't a serious question. If it is, Houston, we have a dud. Probably dozens, if not hundreds of traces of the PCB layout got snapped in half. Oh, I feel bad now. Oh, that was an honest question. Yeah, no, usually if you break something, it stops working. All right, I'm sorry. Trying. Bali is wild. Oh my God. Yeah, I recently saw like a bunch of photos of the Philippines, Singapore, where else was it? India and stuff like that, where it's just like, there is nothing stopping you from just running your own cable. There's something called a toning wand for detecting tones when you're trying to figure out which wire does what. It will also hum and pick up other random electrical signals and just so you can hear them basically. If you held that up to that, you would just hear an orchestra, and it would be amazing. After seeing some posts about fake SSDs just being one flash drive, so I opened one of my fake ones to check. With one sacrificed tool and slightly damaged pocket knife later, what did you do? A micro SD card hot glued to a circuit board. Yeah, that's how a lot of these things are. Yeah, if you don't know the difference between a micro SD card and an SSD, there's a bunch of differences, but the main one that I think is the most important for everyday users is read writes. There's a certain read speed and a write speed for SSDs that's like dozens of times faster than a micro SD card. It depends on the card, blah, 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 blah. And there's also a read write limit for solid state media. That read write limit is a lot lower on micro SD cards because they assume you're going to take a bunch of pictures or video or stuff like that and then copy it off. You're not going to be doing stuff like writing operating systems logs to it and constantly, when you play games or stuff like that, there's databases and stuff like that involved that are lots of read-write operations. All that kind of stuff is what SSD and hard drives are made for, and that's why you can't just use a micro SD card as a hard drive for a long time. Like you can use it, and there's like adapters for older machines where you can use an IDE connector for the compact flash card and run an entire OS off that. You can run entire OS off USB drives, but over the long term, you're using up read writes. However, you can get a really big micro SD card, stick it in an SD case, say it's an SSD, sell it as a fake one, and you end up with garbage. What lovely garbage. I'm sorry the garbage damaged your pocket knife. I have no idea what it required to open. Jesus. No wonder the Wi-Fi at our school is crap. Okay, this falls under, they didn't tell us we needed Wi-Fi here, and we had to put Wi-Fi here today. I would still try to at least put it on top of the box or something like that. But it's a school, kids will knock it down. There's actually, one of the computers I have is something called a GoBook 3 by Itronics, and General Dynamics ended up buying them. And the next model of it, actually, one of the things they advertised was a 100-pound pull weight on the Ethernet port. So there's a video of a guy from General Dynamics with an Ethernet cable plugged into this laptop, flinging it around. Mine is a model before that. It's about 2 pounds heavier, made of metal, and was from a former law enforcement vehicle. Long story. But Ethernet cables can actually hold a decent amount of weight because the weight of all of the cables on the front of a switch rack can actually be a decent amount. So this won't affect performance in the short term, even over a year. I've seen places where stuff was hanging like that for 5-6 years. The clip will eventually get brittle and that'll be what breaks. But at each end, the copper inside of the Ethernet jack is held against itself by the casing of the Ethernet jack. It's not by, you're not going to get a loose connection. It's basically on or off because of how the teeth and the tines touch each other. You can break the jack, or the jack can be poorly made, and then you have problems. I'm going into edge cases. My point here is to be nice to school IT, because they're not getting paid a lot, and they are given no budget and just every project under the sun all the time. My brother's mangled laptop setup. He calls it a resourceful build. I had 3 or 4 laptops running, was it a Blender render farm? It was something for when I started learning 3D in college. Yeah, student at a music conservatory with a room full of laptops running Blender, learning soldering, building robots. I built, I think, my second or third robot in my conservatory dorm room. And somehow I ended up in IT. Yeah, my parents really wanted me to go to music school. They really wanted me to do the whole violin thing, but I had the Georgia Tech college view book under my bed since I was 12. And I still remember the page on the robotics department. I ended up in tech anyway. They couldn't keep me away. Genuine question. Why the heck is Costco's server in the middle of the store 50 feet high? Oh, that's easy. Oh, this is actually cool. Fun reason. So the maximum Ethernet run length is 300 feet. So if you have a wireless access point or something like that that needs to be in a specific area, specifically in warehouses are awful. Aluminum shelving just rips through wireless signal. So you want that to be as high up as possible. So when you have employees going through the aisles with inventory scanners, even when they're all the way as far as possible away from the access point and down inside walls of aluminum shelving or steel shelving, the inventory scan gun still has a good connection connection to the nearest AP. For that reason, you're going to need a lot of them, and they need to be distributed over the top of the shelves, and you only have 300 feet to work with. So usually you pick sort of a central area, you put a switch rack there, you're only seeing it at Costco because you can actually see the ceiling, and then you run 300 feet out from that rack, and then you run fiber to the next rack. You usually have a central MDF or a main distribution frame that has all your fiber, and it runs out to all the IDFs. This is basically a mini IDF, which is an intermediate distribution frame. Fiber goes to those, and then all the access points spread out from that point. This way, even if one IDF goes down, the other ones should be able to at least sort of cover for you while you get that one back up. But yeah, you can't run Ethernet forever. You have to put a booster every 300. I've seen it run to 400 feet because like in existing installs, but 300 feet is pretty much when you start to have issues, especially in, an enterprise mission critical setting. Oh, there's a response. I'm sorry. Oh no, that's almost certain. Just a network distribution box. It will have a switch or two in it, plus terminations for the drops around the warehouse. Consider that the maximum length of Cat6 cable is 300 feet. Well, at least you guys know I'm not just spouting crap. It's not that hard to imagine running way longer than that from one end of the warehouse to another. Yep, so instead, they've probably run a fiber to this distribution rack, and from here, they're within 300 feet for copper to every point that needs it. Yep. Oh, makes way more sense now. I actually learned something. Thanks. Yep, pretty much what I just said. Sorry. My friend made a file server? Why is it in quotes? Then asks me why I cannot access his files. What in the... Okay, all right, I see the logic. I respect the attempt. So you have a USB hub with an Ethernet port on it, and you have a bunch of USB drives, and you give it power and has an Ethernet port. So like, why isn't it communicating? And like, I know the answer, and you probably kind of sort of guess at the answer, but this is why. The Ethernet port is just an interface. It'll hand out a MAC address, which is something at OSI layer 2, and just be like, hi, I'm an Ethernet port, and the Ethernet port in the other end of just that cable will go, cool, thanks. And it will note down the MAC address in the MAC address table. It won't give an IP address or internet protocol address or any sort of internet because the port can't do that. The computer handles all the IP stuff. That's OSI layer 3. There are 7 layers, just like a good dip. But when the thing you've plugged it into isn't smart at all and is just a plug, assumingly, I've seen Raspberry Pi Picos stuffed into tinier places, but assuming that's just a charger, you don't have anything to accept an IP address. They need like a little Raspberry Pi or something like that, that you could plug that in, but a Raspberry Pi has an Ethernet port on it. So like at that point, just plug all your flash drives into that. It's not, I see where you go. I see the logic. And honestly, if your friend is this curious about stuff, get them a Raspberry Pi, or maybe just like have them start networking their laptops together or something like that. Just, a little nudge, because curiosity, always good. Always encourage curiosity. But if all they wanted was just like, I just want to access these files across the internet, I don't want to think about it anymore, then just don't bother. Wi-Fi signal strength. The egg cooker. When I was configuring a bunch of access points for a college dorm once, I think I had 48 of those in the tiniest office that used to be a filing room you've ever seen. And they were all on at the same time. I remember sending a picture to one of my coworkers being like, do you want to cook some eggs? Because like, I'm sure we have enough radiation power to do it. Not really. Your cell phone can put 16 times more energy out than a wireless access point. It's not as powerful as it looks, but it's still fun to talk about. Delicious cooler sludge. Chunky liquid I dreamed from the air. Oh no. An AIO is an all-in-one cooler. It's the only type of liquid cooling I ever frack with because I don't have the patience for that stuff. But basically the idea is it's a sealed system with a big radiator and a block that goes on your CPU, and it does all the liquid cooling, but it's just sealed from the factory. You don't have to do anything unless something fails inside of it, and then you hear it failing. You'll hear little stuff floating around in it and stuff like that, because stuff rots over time. Like anything with liquid parts in it just is gonna degrade over time and is going to cause problems, which is why we don't use liquid cooling in servers, because no. Dad, my keyboard is glitching out. Why is it pink? Why is it pink or red? I don't want to ask questions because I don't want to know the answer to them. No, I'm gonna say it's G Fuel or something. Did you spill anything? No, it's just glitches out all of a sudden. I didn't do anything. Nope. My wife got me a rose. It was very pretty, but it was on a vase on my workbench desk, and I had a keyboard next to it, and I just elbowed that vase full of water and a rose directly into that keyboard, and it died. I kept the keyboard as a prop, but yeah, if you ever see me beat the crap out of a keyboard in any of my videos, that's the one. It's dead. It's okay. I'm not hurting a functional mechanical keyboard. I was just very dumb and clumsy. Opened up a cheap calculator today. Oh, we saw this. To find out the solar strip? Yeah, the solar strip. We saw this before. Still makes me angry, but yeah. Solar used to be in a decent amount of calculators. I hope it still is. But also with how power efficient we've gotten with chips and stuff, we could probably power one of these for like 10 years on a single coin cell. So I don't know. Speaks for itself. Is that a wireless access point in a bin on top of a pipe? Is this somewhere where they just like weren't allowed to drill or anything? So confused. The wire is very neatly run. I'll give them that. Friend spilled pickle juice on his brand new laptop. Oh, no. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, the stickers aren't even off yet. Or if you don't take the stickers off, the stickers aren't even peeling off yet. I think there are some dead pixels on this screen. Can you help me spot them? No, it looks perfectly fine to me. I actually, despite the fact that my vision is crap, I'm really sensitive to like screens being like slightly off. Like I have a tiny bit of light bleed on one of the monitors I bought like 10 years ago for 99 bucks, and it still bothers me to this day. Work in a hospital. I'm sorry. And this little fragile stick man of a nurse managed to do this. What in the cut? What were you shoving in there? Look, I mean, it's a charger in a public environment or like a work environment. I expect abuse. I don't expect Hulk smashing something directly through the front of it. An invention of my dad, completely functional. The supercharger. Okay, I wasn't gonna go into power delivery. That whole 5 volts thing I was talking about, okay, you can have 5 volts, 2.4 amps. Most devices will figure that out just fine. When you get into power delivery, your device actually has to request the amount of power that it needs. So it connects at a very safe voltage. It's a lot like power over Ethernet. A lot of devices do this. When a device can issue power digitally, it will do so at very low, class compliant, non-damaging rate. And then the device will get just enough power to respond with, hey, here's my specifications, here's what I can support, please give me this level of power. And the charger says, okay, thank you for the specs. I will now shut the port off and I will turn it on at the power level that you can support. And then that's how you get fast charging. Fast charging can take place all the way up to 20 volts. I think even higher for some other stuff. It's not just gonna dump 20 volts straight out the door because some devices would get damaged by that, like smaller earbuds and stuff like that. So your device has to be able to communicate with the charger. That's a brick charger. That's a giant DC transformer that does not care what's on the other end of it. And sure, if it puts out 5 volts at 4 amps, you'll get 5 volts at whatever device your device will maximally charge at. But it won't charge it any faster than 5 volts, 2.4 amps, or whatever your device supports. And also, it's not designed for that. Not gonna have things like a thermal protection and overvolt protection. There's so many problems with this. You'll get a faster charge than just like the old iPhone little tiny brick chargers, but it's not gonna be a power delivery or anything like that. Keyboard switches stopped working. Had to pull a 5-minute crafts. Those are momentary switches. I like that you have like the extended ones. There's a couple different heights you can get the momentary push buttons in. It's just a little tiny copper dome, and when you press it, the copper dome inverts and it touches the copper pad below it, and that's how you get a switch. But you can get the post basically as tall as you need it so that you can have your circuit board lower or enclosures that support it. So like usually when you're starting out an electronics parts bin, you don't have these. Like this is somebody who's like messed around with a bunch of other stuff and like had to order these for a special reason or got them as part of another set and still had them lying around and was like, yeah, no, that's almost tall enough as my keys. That's hilarious. I love this. This makes me so happy. These things only happen on a Friday afternoon, right? I work night shift, so like I still have to deal with problems Friday, 10, 11 p.m. What in the... What? Did a mole rat come through? What the hell? Was somebody drilling through the wall? Okay, so to explain this, there's a conduit here. Usually conduits are metal, but not always. And it looks like somebody else was installing something and drilled straight through the conduit, shorting and cutting all of these Ethernet cables. Great stuff. Very very fun, lovely. That being said, this is why a lot of conduit is now run externally, because it's hard to see this kind of stuff. But not always. Sometimes architects, I have had many arguments with architects, and I'm just like, this is a basement level. Please just have exposed conduit so we can find it later and add stuff to it. We want the ceiling line to look good. I'm like, it is the basement in a restricted area. Nobody's supposed to be back there. If somebody complains about I'll make them blinder than me. The dumbest thing I've had to do this year. Well, it is only February. Oh, that's not that bad. Oh, that's fine. What are you cooling off? Oh, is that an SSD? I can't tell if it's a phone, an SSD, or like oh, sweet, we got an actual caption. Gen 4 NVMe, okay, that's a type of SSD. 4x4 drives, running at max speed, get really dangerously hot, like 85 degrees Celsius. The 10 gigabytes per second USB-C enclosure, this one had no cooling whatsoever, probably because they didn't expect you to be running them at full speed. I know that sounds stupid, but if you're expecting full speed, max speed all the time, you're looking for enterprise and commercial grade stuff. So I decided to make my own terrifying solution involving 120 volt cooling fan. Jesus, from freaking Radio Shack. Yeah, I miss Radio Shack. Jerry rigged to an unpolarized North American AC cable. No power cable is polarized. Oh, do you mean the plug? It's like, it's AC. It's always changing polar. Anyways, a very thick thermal pad. You spent a thermal pad on this. Wow, okay. And an HP ProLiant G6 server CPU, a heatsink. Okay, I just like that looks a little familiar. It's utterly hideous. It works, probably an OSHA violation. Only if you have like exposed wires, just heat shrink some stuff in. It sounds like a jetliner. Good, that means it's working. But the drive runs 28 degrees Celsius cooler. That is a success. Well done. This is basically what I would have done. I would have avoided the 120 volt because like anytime I'm dealing with just like exposed wires and around a bench, especially if somebody else is around me, I stick to 5 or 12 volts. Because I was like, I'm fine with you sticking your hands in my like work and getting like slightly burned. I'm not okay with you being shocked and dead. This is not actually fine, but this is pretty good ingenuity. Good job. Also, better enclosure. Like you've got server spare parts sitting around. You should probably focus on a better enclosure with some actual thermal displacement. But it works fine, and I could close it good enough until last night. Oh no, spicy pillow. Oh no, it's a hinge. Well, that's not the user's fault. That's HP's fault. It's not just HP, but there are a lot of HP laptops that have hinges mounted to the underside of a plastic housing for the base. So over time, the hinges are too tight and they will warp the plastic up, and eventually the plastic will give out because plastic gets brittle over time and the hinge is made out of metal. So because they didn't frame the entire hinge and monitor in metal like a normal sane laptop builder would, eventually there are hundreds, thousands of laptops with these broken hinges now. Let's use duct tape to cover up the camera. I mean, I know a decent number of laptops that had just gaff tape on them. I don't think that's a terrible idea. I would request the little, $6 pack of 5 like magnetic camera covers if you would like them. I think they should be built into all laptops. Dell's and ThinkPads both have the little camera covers that slide over, and Razer at least has the little LED, lets you know there's actually power going to it. I don't understand why it's not a thing. But yeah, if you won't provide that from your IT department, or can't, the duct tape, there's no reason to have the camera constantly like uncovered. What you can do, and I've seen this done once, and it actually works pretty well. If you get gaff tape, you fold it over itself so you make like a non-sticky flap. You put the tail of that flap on the back of your lid, tape that down, and then you have a little camera cover that flips up, and then you can flip it open for meetings and then flip it back. There you go. And it doesn't mess up the camera. Say hello to Big Bertha, a 1.69 terabyte text file, over 108 billion lines.
Can't wait to unzip this file.
I'm glad you went through the dedication to actually generate the text file itself. An extremely old version of Adobe Photoshop used to have a bug where if you had more than a terabyte of storage space, it would think you didn't have enough space to run the program. User spilled coffee on his laptop, so he put it in the oven to dry it out. While the oven was on? This can't be like, I mean, obviously can be serious because it happened, but you put a ThinkPad, hallowed be thy name, into an oven, and then turn the oven on. Like, even a hairdryer would damage things a little bit, but at least like that one I would kind of understand. Oven. Sometimes I think some people just walk around not knowing the melting temperatures of things. Or I'm just weird. It's probably that. Like an artist's rendition of anxiety. Okay. You know, I often say like, oh, this one's not that bad. Oh, it's a hospital. You know, this is bad. This is very bad. I will point out exactly what makes it so bad. There's no uniformity. You can't tell generally where things are supposed to go to. Merry Christmas! No! What have you brought into my house? So who has one in their server room? Hard reset. I have 2 hammers. One's bright pink, and the other one was the really old one, and it's called Mr. Reboot now because I used it in a video as a prop, and I named it Mr. Reboot. I need a name for the other one, too. I work in IT. Finding this in the server room made my day. Yeah, ours was just, like, on the table, and if a particularly difficult problem came up, the assistant director would just be like, oh, you're gonna need a hammer for this one, and just hold it up. Sometimes it was a client problem. Please advise. Note type, ticket description. Note, good morning. This PC is no longer functioning after yesterday's power outage. Please advise. Thank you. What kind of a power outage did you have? Okay, I know the inside of these machines very, very well. They use like a slim power supply that's stupid hard to get. It's a pain in the ass. But it sits on the bottom of the entire case and like slides out with a little tab. And then all the power cables go up and straight. So I know for a fact that the power supply didn't explode or something because all the damage would be around the bottom where the rails are. This doesn't even make sense. Did you try to take the front off? The front doesn't come off. There's a giant handle right there. You pull the handle and the thing comes off. These are the easiest machines to work on. I smelled something burning. Base US. I'd seen that brand before and I'd seen it really heavily marketed. And now I know not to buy it. Camera wanted a second look. Oh my God, look at her dress. Oh my God, look at what? That's such a terrible dress. Oh, it's so tacky. This keyboard's USB connector at my school. Oh no, it's a school one. Oh, it's education abuse. Oh, does it still work? As much as I hate seeing like tech gore, I'm also always curious of like how far out of spec can you get something and it still work? Not that it should be deployed, but just to know the range of tolerance, because people don't respect technology at all. DIY phone cooling upgrade. Is that just a copper pipe? Did you just copper pipe your Samsung something or other? All the Android phones just look the same now. The folding ones are kind of cool, but like everything else just, come on guys, like Android used to be the cool ones with all the weird, the out there stuff. Our new mascot, students sent this in stating they accidentally dropped their backpack from their second floor porch. Somehow I don't believe that. Now it's our new mascot named Crash. Okay, assuming that's not a spicy pillow. If the laptop was closed and it was inside a backpack and the backpack fell off of something, I'm going to say that the screen and the keyboard are going to be bent at the same angle. Introducing power over duct tape. No. Oh dear God, that's 120 volts. No, that's not. No, it's, oh my God, it is. Oh, God help us all. Please tell me this isn't real. Your worst fear. Actually, that one's pretty good. Like, you gotta be careful with your next set of decisions in life. But the HDMI head left the crimped end of the connector, and your port might still be okay. So you can still save this, assuming it was actually plugged into the HDMI port. It looks like it is. That looks like 4 letters. HP equals hinge problems. I just saw a meme that was like an r/sububby. It's an r/IT, which is just a bunch of I's and T's. That's just has the HP logo and just says hinge problems in the HP font, because it's true. I mean, they had lots of other problems, but now we have like one clearly identifiable one that actually angers everyone, not just IT people. Now stop buying $299 laptops from Walmart and then complaining when they don't perform to the same level as a MacBook. Somebody wasn't happy with their internet. Did they put a couple rounds through it? Or are those drill holes? I think those are drill holes. Lordy. Ticket. User states internet keeps going out. Okay, sometimes this stuff is better or worse than it can appear, and this is so messy I can't tell, which means it's an automatic fail. Anyone know why my iPad isn't working? Yes, I do. I'm not going to tell you though, because I feel like it's much better for the learning experience if you figure it out yourself. And welcome back to today's episode of Janky or Nah. I'm sorry, is janky the good option? I guess I can, there's definitely a redneck engineering spirit to getting something working on a computer that shouldn't work, but does. Customer states, computer no longer boots. After a few drops of Pepsi got onto a few drops. of Pepsi got onto a few drops. How big were those drops? This actually doesn't look that bad, but it's more than a few drops. Liquid's weird. It really matters on where it hits. I spilled a good 2/3 of a bowl of cereal all across a 17-inch laptop, and it was fine. Totally fine. I splashed a Cooler Master keyboard with like some of the water from a vase, like a very tiny vase that had a single rose in it, and the entire thing shorted out immediately. You never know. There's room in the kitchen. Just have the IT person set up there. I have set, oh my God, the list of places, weird places I have had to set up, especially when consulting. Like I've set up in the corner of a restaurant. I've set up behind a bar. I've had a bunch of just sit down on the floor and just spread out. Like you just fire up a couple computers and start configuring stuff. Customer tried to clean his laptop, broke the main board while closing. Oh no. What is under it? Okay, first off, hinge, what the hinge? But what's under that? Like that looks like that's supposed to sit flush. I have no idea. I'm not gonna question it further because my brain is just gonna just drive me nuts until I know. What a mess. Okay, this is another one that's like on the fence. On one hand, especially that bundle on the left, that looks messy. And it is kind of a little messy, but those are individual fiber strands. Fiber strands have an extremely delicate, what's called a bend radius. They are literally glass. It's literally glass fiber. So if you bend it too much, you will start to crack it, and you can risk either degrading the signal or just making it entirely non-functional, and then that ruins that strand of the fiber permanently. Client came in with this monstrosity. Lord have mercy, what happened to your parallel port? Why did you get in a fight with your parallel port? What the hell? Were you trying to pull this away from like the wall or something, and it was still connected to something? Good Lord. It's called networking. Look it up. Oh my God. You have a USB-C to USB-A to USB NIC to Ethernet to USB NIC to whatever that is. Is that the stupid Thunderbolt thing or is that USB-C? I can't tell. Does this work? If both sides are powered, it should work. Yeah, it'll all work on a layer 2. Yeah, no, you got 2 MAC addresses. You got it should work. My dad said his PS4 was overheating. Yeah, it'll do that. That's actually not the worst I've ever seen. Like, that's really not that bad. It will always just astound me that there aren't filters, like slide out magnetic filters on the fronts of things that desperately need fans. A little broken. Just a little. Only like 19%. Hey, this is way better than that other phone that I was like, how do people use that? And people were actually answering. It's like, oh my God, people do actually use their phones like this, where half the screen was gone. I'm impressed. I still could not live for like 3 hours. I'd rather just not use the phone at all. I think the RAM got a little hot. Again, just a little broken, just a little hot. Yeah, the rest of it's fine. Hotel television install. Ooh, oh no, that's not at all what I expected. I've always been curious about hotel television systems because they're like these secret little integrated networks and stuff. This is just a television held up by some picture wire, which actually, if you think about it, like there are paintings that are a good 25 to 30 pounds. A lot of TVs nowadays are less than that. You, theoretically, as long as you have the correct anchors and everything for a picture frame, you could hang a TV using like more than this, but like run through all of the VESA screws on the back and then hang it from like 2 points, and physically that would work. An accurate depiction of my life. I had that laptop. Wait, no, I didn't. Wait, what? Okay, this is a Toshiba. I had a Toshiba. It was not a good one. It was like picked out of the trash or something. I think actually my dad might have got it. Like it was trashed from work or from like a school. They had these like school auction sale things where you could buy stuff for like $5. School surplus sale. There we go. It had the same clickers and it had the same mouse, but the speaker was on the front. I swear it was settled. It was 90 megahertz Pentium, and that looks like the same processor with the battery life of an injured wasp. Sorry, the screen is all screwed up. That's really cool. The keyboard felt really nice. It was a piece of junk, but it was my piece of junk. All my computers were pieces of junk. It reminds me of the Yip Yips. Oh, from Sesame Street. Yup, 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 yup. Random columns closet found on Facebook. Yup, 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 yup. Yeah, these are phone systems. These are, what are these, 66 or 110 punch blocks? I think they're just 66 punch blocks. So the kind of standard for them is a lot lower, and this isn't to insult telephone installers. They had a lot more to punch down. Every single phone has to be punched back to every single block for each and every single jack.